This is Chandler Parsons of the Dallas Mavericks. When I'm not playing basketball, I may consider listening to MOR. Probably not, though.
You live right now?
They're having beer and Popeye's chicken.
He's got a point, but it doesn't mean I'm going to like it anymore.
Hey, balling with Brian is like that. Everybody in Mavsland should be following him.
He's savant-like, and he has just been a thrill and a privilege to spend time with him.
So Balling with Brian writes a blog, and all of a sudden you bury Dirk.
The haters are going to hate, and the homers are going to home.
I don't trust him. His name is Rylan.
If you guys, and as much as you could, if you could talk into the microphone, because it's a little hard to hear up here, so as best you could. Is this good? Cool.
And possibly live from the Ted Jones Broadcasting Center in Trophy Club, Texas. It's the definitive independent podcast covering the Dallas Mavericks and the NBA's Mavericks Outsider Report. Hell yes. I'm Rylan Rowe. I do sports, and with me, as always, today is the man at the helm, the mild-mannered reporter, everybody's best friend, and editor-in-chief, MavsOutsider.com, one of the most popular eligible bachelors in all of the DFW area, Balling with Brian.
That's random.
Yeah, it is random.
That's random.
True,
I'm proud of you to rattle that off so quickly.
I can't wait to listen to that. I don't know if you could tell my voice is kind of
It seems okay.
jacked today.
It seems okay. Maybe it'll loosen up when you keep talking.
No, experience proves it's only going to get worse.
Oh, okay.
I actually, if it had been as bad as it was yesterday, the day before, I was, at least for the intro, I was going to do a bit.
You're
like
going to tap out?
Like we used to do, you know, where we would do the thing where it says this thing here. Let me see if it works. We're just vamping here.
Live producing.
Oh, is it not working? Crap. Oh, wait. Hold on. Dang it. I'll try it again. You know me. Can't do anything right the first time. Here we go.
Possibly live from the Ted Jones Broadcasting Center.
That was
like we used to read Delonte tweets with that thing,
Oh, yeah,
Be
yeah.
like this.
What's the wonders? I'm wondering if you're going to have misspellings in there, and that's going to throw it all out of whack.
Hey, Deron, this is the homie Delonte. Come play in Dallas with Dirk.
Remember we had like half a dozen of those?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for tolerating that little thing, everybody.
It was worth it.
My voice is jacked, so it's going to be what it's going to be. Mavericks Outsider Report, episode 92. Brian's making popping noises with his Mac. And what is it, December 29th?
You're asking me?
Man.
Yes.
I tried to buy beer before noon yesterday because I had no idea what day of the week it was.
Which
is utter bullshit, by the way.
You can't buy beer before noon?
On a Sunday. What do they think they're preventing?
Oh, yeah, yesterday was Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was coming from.
What's so bad about that?
Because 200 years ago, some old fart in Austin was like, well, everybody need to be in church. They don't need to be buying no beer. And it's still the law. It's ridiculous.
Interesting. I thought...
like anybody who wants to drink bad enough.
There's like a Cowboys game at like noon, right?
Right, yeah. Well, yeah. So if you were buying beer before the game, you're screwed.
You're SOL.
You got to get prepped the night before. It's a terrible law.
That's...
Hey, we got several folks on the stream already. I know it's been a while.
Hi.
What's up, stream?
Hi.
Episode
92. We were here November...
Right before Thanksgiving.
Right before Thanksgiving.
Christmas, dude.
How was your Christmas?
It's like a steamroll. There's just... The calendar has never been more full.
Well, you're a full-fledged adult. You're the honorable. And
you don't know how easy you have it right now.
I know.
So many events, so much
room for activities.
So little room for activities.
Room.
Actually, that's the real crime in this whole deal.
I'm thinking sometime around episode 100, we have to have Layla actually on the microphone for just a little bit.
I almost last time I set it up. She came down and she was like, jibber jabbering.
She was spin facts about Jameer Nelson's like 3-point shooting from the left corner or something like that. That seems like something she would do. But I think it's definitely something that we should try in the near future.
Yeah, we'll make a priority of it pretty soon. So, yeah, my voice just went to complete shit like on Friday. And Friday and Saturday I could barely talk. And so we're about to have another kid. Like, we could have a kid in the middle of this podcast.
That would be amazing.
It could happen. This podcast, we're going to do 2 hours like we always do, but it might be an hour and 20 minutes because labor might happen, and we might have to just shut it down. Let's go home. So I was like, I don't care if my voice is bad. We got to power through this. And so for the intro, I was going to do my version of the Big Black Cowboys computer, and my punchline, it was going to be a long setup because you know how long how many words it would have to say, but my setup was going to be this. Oops, dang it, freaking single quotes.
I know Rylan is.
When I got to where I introduced myself.
I'm Rylan Rowe, the Stephen Hawking of half-ass podcast.
It would have been like a minute-long setup, and I thought, that would have been kind of funny. So, yeah, I apologize for my voice. We're going to talk Mavs. Huge news, Brian.
Jameer Nelson was traded. And for one of the guys, you and I have definitely, over the 4 years we've been doing this thing. The 91 previous episodes.
Plus other random things. Mm-hmm. We have had
side projects.
Yeah, we've had a lot of point guard lust.
Yes.
Over the years.
You could say we've been thirsty for a point guard.
We've been very thirsty for a point guard. And we've talked. There was a time when we talked D. Will.
Right.
But even before that, there was a time we talked. You had a man crush on Ricky Rubio before he died. It's tragic. Really, so young.
So fragile.
There's been Dragic talk.
Yeah.
Dragic talk really, since his second year in the league, we've been talking about him as a potential fit. And, of course, the guy who was always at the top of my list, and if not for Ricky Rubio, probably would have been at the top of yours, I'm guessing.
We still need to we need to go back to the tape.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best to take advantage of post-baby break in the routine to go back to the MOR basement tapes and see which of us professed the love for Rondo first.
Both of us did.
Because we always have. Neither one of us have shied away from it. But
someone jumped on it first.
Yeah, and it had to be. We didn't jinx it and say each other at the same time, so it had to be somebody, and we're going to find out who. Damn it! So, the question I have though is, Rubio was ahead of Rondo on your list.
Because I'm weird.
Because you love Rubio, but if not for your man crush, Rondo would have been your number one. He was my number one. We've talked about all the reasons why. In the first couple years we did this podcast, those were the years when Rondo, like every other day, he would go for 14 points. 18 assists and 18 rebounds.
Right.
Like every other day he did that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were always amazed by that. And, we liked how that would go on, a Dallas squad that can always use some saltiness on the perimeter. Obviously, the bloom has kind of gone off of his rose a little bit the last couple years in Boston. Boston has also been a complete shit bag. So there's, some debate there as to what his real level is right now. But it lowered his asking price, or rather, there was Boston's asking price.
There was an ACL injury as well that definitely hurt,
obviously, and brought us to where we are today, which is that a package headlined by Brandon Wright, a great bench role player, landed Rajon Rondo.
Whoa!
Almost
Whoa!
That up.
Calm down.
What a punk! Go home.
God, don't do that again. Actually, the day after he was traded, I texted Followell to get what's the ruling?
Tell me
it's
what
your
it is.
job to know how to pronounce everybody. You know Donatas Machajunas and how to spell it and say it backwards, so tell me how to say his name.
But you remember that could have been a double-edged sword because
think of it like Rajon.
Yeah, but with Gal Meckel, everyone was like,
nobody knew.
What's your name?
He wouldn't tell him.
He was like, I don't care. Whatever you want to say.
Like,
he literally said, I don't care.
Okay, I'm going to call you, Jennifer then. It's what somebody should have done. This thing happened fast. That's what we really need to focus on, I think, because everybody's covered this thing from a million different angles. The thing that made this distinct to me is that, one, we knew about it before it happened, which is very rare in Mavland, and two, by the time we heard about it, 48 hours later, by the time we heard about it momentum-wise with the Woj tweet, 48 hours later it was done.
I think it happened fast, but I think it had to be in the line of thinking going back. So this deal happened on the 19th of December. I think they had to seriously be thinking about it at least a week to 2 weeks before, just based off of what happened beforehand. You had the loss to Golden State. You had the loss to Phoenix, where you saw Jameer Nelson was not going to cut it at all.
But here's my question, because that's what everybody said, and it makes sense logically if you look at it that way. But we know the organizations liked Rondo.
Right.
You know that Donnie has talked to Donnie and Danny.
Right.
It's like they have a shoe with Reebok. They're both
Oh, yeah.
decathletes.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie would talk to Danny, and I'm sure every time they talked, he'd be like,
How's
hey,
Rondo
man,
doing?
you want to do anything with Rondo? Let me know when you're ready, because he's a talented player. Dallas needs a real point guard, a true solution at point guard, post-chasing kid. It's always been on the table. So you know that conversation has always happened anytime the two talked. Donnie was going to ask about Rondo when he was talking to Ainge. It's just, it's inevitable. So one thing we don't know and is difficult for us as lay folk to get a handle on is how often those guys talk. Among those conversations, how often are they really serious, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, Ainge's answer changed. And Ainge's answer didn't change because of anything that happened against Golden State. So while I agree that makes some sense, I tend to think that it would happen no matter what. Because if anything, Ainge's ass would have gone up.
Right.
If he cared. You know what I'm saying? If that really had any impact on it. Because Dallas would have taken Rondo in the summer if they could have had him for this price then.
Right.
Anybody would.
I think a big problem with Boston was their leverage was severely cut, because when you look at the league, the point guard position is as stacked as it's ever been. I mean, on any given night, you could legitimately say 2 different people are the best point guard in the game. Every single night, the argument can change.
It's crazy
it's
right now.
It's stacked. So when you look at it that way, with very rough estimates and abacuses and everything, abaci, whatever it is, I came to the conclusion that 85% of the league was set at point guard now, or they felt they had a piece that they could groom. So that left a very small window of teams that could actually afford to go for someone like Rondo.
Their number, and they first started talking about trading him really a couple years ago when they
it's been like for 4 years.
When they blew it up in earnest, which
Right.
was what, like after the Mavs won that year, probably that year that summer they blew it up.
Right.
Or was it this next summer they blew it up? Might have been the next summer after the lockout that they really blew it up. Everybody went to Brooklyn. I can't remember. Anyway,
Poor Brooklyn.
that ridiculous trade with a bunch of names. It was like 2 8-year-olds trading basketball cards. Hey, everybody, let's make a trade of a bunch of 2004 All-Stars. But anyway, after they did that, they really started talking about it. They had a lot more buyers back then than they do now, and that was pre-injury, which kept him out last year. So you're right. The market for him dried up, so the price went down. It was perfect timing. You have to hand it to the Mavs front office on this deal. I mean, look, it sucks to lose Brandon Wright. We can talk in a minute about how that's impacting Dallas and what they're going to have to do to compensate for that in more than one way. But you do that deal 100 times out of 100. You're talking about an elite or potentially elite in terms of talent, and his performance has just been a little uneven as of late, plus injury. Level point guard, which is so important for a backup center that's very matchup dependent, a dog shit veteran point guard that I'm mystified by what happened here with him. And Jay Crowder in a pick. And the pick's going to be the 22nd pick.
Right.
So it's a crapshoot. And Jay Crowder, good luck with that knuckleball. Good luck, Bill Simmons, in there on his damn podcast saying,
Bill Simmons,
saying
he likes
he's going to
him.
be the sleeper.
He likes him.
Whatever, dude.
He likes him a lot.
Oh, crack.
It is tough for a lot of people to see Brandon Wright go, but when you think about
it sucks. He's like our boy.
Right. It's weird going into the locker room now because he's always the first person you saw going in. You're just hanging out on his phone, give you a little fist bump. How you doing? Talk about Tennessee Titans football because he's all about them. So it's weird not seeing him there. But when you think about it, the Mavericks brought him in after the lockout on the minimum.
Yeah.
He was absolutely nothing when he came to Dallas.
And we said it was last podcast when I went through my list of things that I didn't tweet at the game where I swore off Twitter. One of the things I said was if you want to trash the Mavs front office, and this was mid-November, if you want to trash the Mavs front office for various things, Jared Cunningham, Dominique Jones, Roddy Beaubois, that's fine. But you have to give credit for what they've done with Brandon Wright. Because you're right, they brought him in off nothing. and flipped him for Rajon. Gosh.
Rajon.
Oh, I'm going to be in so much trouble with the Rajon.
They flipped him for a 4-time All-Star.
Yeah. For a guy that, honestly, if he's healthy, just like Chandler, if he's healthy, this is your squad, man. You just got to try to build around this now.
I'm impressed that it was actually able to happen as quickly as it did. And I think as far as
They must have been so close talking to each other. They must have had the honestly,
or Boston knew that this is the best offer we're going to get.
right. They either had the framework, either Boston said, F it, we're going to take what we can get. We like Brandon Wright, we like a pick, and Jay Crowder. Or the framework of this deal had to have been laid back in like July.
Right.
Had to have. Because it did. It happened so quick.
And I think it's just that part of the appeal for Boston had to be the timing of it as well, where, heck, if things don't work out with Brandon Wright, they're going to be able to flip him again before the deadline, and Brandon Wright's going to be an asset.
That dude's got trade value.
Yeah, through the roof.
Think of the value he'll have for
Boston.
For a team that's like trying to put their couple pieces together to make a run in the playoffs. Versatile, big man, off the bench that can score, athletic, he can run. He's just not big.
Defensively,
he's just skinny.
Defensively, he doesn't make a fit, but I would assume Cleveland has to be thinking, man, we got to get him involved some way, one way or another. Have Boston as a third team where he goes to somewhere, and then that other team gives us a big that can
Think
work
about
out.
what he can do, though. Dive cutting.
Right.
When LeBron's going to the hole, if he's just
or Kyrie's going to the hole.
Either of those guys, with the way they distribute and the way they draw attention, fill in a gap, just a tick behind them, and they just throw it up to him, helicopter dunk. I mean, and there's a lot of other teams. Any team in the league that's looking at the playoffs that has a penetrator that draws significant attention, but can dish the ball. Brandon Wright's perfect for them. Period.
Right.
I mean, look at what he did with Monte. Look at what he did with Devin last year.
Look at what he did with Jameer.
Look at what he did with freaking Jameer Nelson.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree. Before we talk about the impact on the team and all that's swirling about that, before we move on to that, Rondo versus Dragic. All things being equal, if this trade could have been done with Phoenix to bring Dragic in instead of Rondo, how do you feel about it? Because he was kind of the other guy that I think we were pretty excited about the idea of figuring out a way to add, but the situation's different.
So if
contract-wise,
if this framework vis-a-vis kind of similar, was on the table
for all practical purposes,
I would have been thrilled. I mean,
but do you put it above or below Rondo?
I would have put it below Rondo, just based off of what we know he can do. All things being equal on how they are skilled, I still would have taken Rondo ahead of Dragic.
Yeah,
and based off of what he can do defensively.
I went back and listened to one of our more recent podcasts, and we actually had this conversation because this is the podcast where you get future predictions that always come true, and that's exactly what I think both of us said.
You're gonna have a baby. Man.
Was that we love Dragic offensively? He would turn this thing into, an offense that hasn't been seen since the 80s Showtime type stuff, or the Kings in 2002 and the Mavs in 2003, that kind of stuff. But as far as fit for what you needed to fill gaps for in Dallas's skill set, Rondo was a better fit, and you worry a little bit about the fact that he's been dinged up and all this other stuff. But it was worth. He was a backcourt Chandler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And to me, that was good enough. A Tyson Chandler. He was
Was he a Chandler Parsons?
We're going to ban the use of the word Chandler on this podcast.
He's a smaller Tyson.
Yeah, a little skinny one.
He's a bulldog.
He is a bulldog.
I think coming into the early analysis of the trade, people were saying 4-time All-Star, a bulldog of a defender. He is not I don't believe him to be an elite defender anymore. He can do it in spots.
Better than anybody.
Exactly. He's better than anyone Dallas has had in recent years. And the fact of the matter is you don't need a dramatic improvement defensively. You just need an incremental one. If you keep on incrementally getting better defensively, that's going to speak volumes over the course of the season.
And there's nothing that says that he can't become close to what he used to be. He's still coming off that injury because of the way it was timed last year. And we're still early in this year, and he's been on a terrible team where, quite frankly, it's probably pretty hard for him to give a shit, and I can't say I blame him. Not everybody is Dirk.
Right.
Not everybody's a robot, you know. Dirk is our robot, and we love him, and I think we all have some expectation in the back of our mind that everybody should have Dirk's, like, work ethic. And it's just not a reasonable expectation to have on people, so that's good. However, we are now in the adjustment period. Capital A, capital J, title of your next 10 columns, the adjustment period. And we talked about it. We texted about it back when this was going down, about how you might lose a few games due to this adjustment. It's going to hurt your offense, but you just got to hope that you offset it with a few games you weren't going to win without him because of the toughness of what you have to deal with in the West. The fact that Dallas, up to this point, had not shown a whole lot of anything against playoff teams in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And at least last night, they did beat Oklahoma City. Of course, Oklahoma City didn't have Kevin Durant, but Dallas didn't have Tyson Chandler. Everybody giggles and goes, yeah, but Kevin Durant. But still, in either way, that's two teams missing two vital cogs for what they try to do, even though Tyson Chandler is no Kevin Durant. I knew Kevin Durant, and you, sir, are no Kevin Durant. But I will say, things are already starting to round off a little bit. I think if we'd have had this podcast a week ago, we'd have been saying, oh, man, this could go wrong, this could get worse, but things are already looking a little bit better. Dirk got over his sick stomach, and he started to hit some shots.
Right.
Chandler Parsons finally has put together a couple good games after looking terrible. But we know things are going to be a little off. They were so pick-and-roll happy before. And that changes now. They can still pick and roll with Monte and a big, but with Rondo with the ball in his hands a lot, you're not going to have as many opportunities to roll that out there.
This is a really good stat that's going up on tomorrow's column with Perry Mattern, is that Rondo had, in 26 games with Boston, he only took 14 or more shots 3 times. So in 26 games, it happened 3 times. In 5 games with Dallas, it's happened 4. He's aggressive. He's following Rick Carlisle's advice, just saying, be aggressive.
Do your thing. That's good. That's fine.
Do you, Rondo?
As long as he's taking Rondo shots.
Right.
Which is creative finishing 8 feet and in.
Right.
Not quite to the level of like a Steve Nash creative finisher, but watch him.
Mm-hmm.
He does these little underhanded scoop things and banks off and all this other kind of stuff. And you get that and just the occasional jumper where he gets lucky. So you got to let him do it. And he's able to open up lanes for other guys and find guys where no other person that Dallas had on the roster was going to distribute the way he did, obviously. So you got to take a little of that with all the good that you get from him as a distributor.
And we talked about how he might not be elite defensively, and it was definitely a team effort against Westbrook in the Oklahoma City game. But in the fourth quarter, he was doing a damn good job.
I didn't get to watch the game, so
oh my gosh,
I know I'm horrible.
Unbelievable.
Fill me in on this. Everyone was saying that his ball denial on Westbrook was critical.
There was one series within the last 2 or 3 minutes of that game where he had an absolutely great ball denial where Steven Adams was on like the left extended elbow, probably over by the 3-point line, and he was trying to get it to Westbrook. Rondo had his back to Adams. He's just keeping him in front of Westbrook and just hand up, reading what Westbrook's eyes, trying to see what he's trying to do, just keeping his hands up. Kept on running around him for a good 5 seconds. Couldn't get the ball to him, so he threw it to Reggie Jackson and it went out of bounds. That was a huge turning point in that game. And he doesn't have to do it for the 26 minutes or however many minutes he's out on the floor. He's just got to do it when it counts.
And he could walk in there with boots on both feet and 2 sprained ankles and be better than Jameer Nelson.
Maybe one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So that alone, it's just all about the fact that he's Rajon. Gosh, I've been calling him Rajon all week, dude. And now I'm recording.
When the lights are on.
When the lights are on, I'm just choking, butt puckered. That's me, dude. It's me, man. I'm not good. I'm not good in the clutch. Not good in the clutch at all. Never have been my whole life. He's because of him being who he is. They're not going to take the ball out of his hands. So, even though there were some when the trade was made that said, "Hey, he's not going to be any worse than Nelson was." Well, that's clear. However, you're not going to let him do. You're not going to limit him to what you were limiting Nelson to. You could, and just say, Monte, go run a bunch of pick and rolls, but you're not going to maximize what you can get out of Rondo. So obviously, it's better to do what you're doing now, which is take your lumps. You're going to have some growing pains. There's going to be some adjustment here, but at the end of the day, everybody's going to learn to play off each other. They can figure it out. They got versatility, and as far as I'm concerned, this is really going to hurt Monte. I never understood that. Monte can play off the ball. You just don't want him all the time off the ball.
Right.
But think of the speed he's got. Think of what he can do sneaking into space and then getting the ball from Rondo. And then he's still Monte. He can still attack. So just because any player plays off the ball, this is the same shit with Chandler Parsons, where everybody said, "Oh, he needs the ball in his hands." And I said, how much did he have the damn ball in his hands when he was on James Harden's team? People, use your brain. Just because someone plays off the ball doesn't mean that they're limited to only shooting it where it's passed to them. We've got this idea in our head that anybody who plays off the ball has to be Richard Hamilton and run off 5 screens, catch the ball, and shoot it. That's not the case.
Why do you hate Ray Allen? Because I would have gone with Ray Allen.
Because when I think about guys that run off screens, I always think about Reggie Miller running baseline and back, kind of just making U's on the court. And that's like in my brain seared in there, and I always think of Richard Hamilton as the most recent guy that emulated that. I don't really know of anybody that really does that as much today. Ray just spots up.
Yeah. He would do the
run.
Well,
back in the day.
Right.
He's old now. Just like me.
Another big thing about this is, well, going back to that, circling back around with Parsons, that it's going to force him to cut a little bit more than he's been doing,
and that's
but
good.
He should be doing.
Right. We talked about that when we last had a podcast. Was he's got to learn how to move where and when, because he's not going to do it all the time, but he's going to do it enough. And the way the offense was structured before was so much pick and roll with Monte, he was kind of like, well, I guess I'll go spot up over here, which he can do that some, but he's not maximizing his abilities if he does that too much.
Right.
So I think it's a net positive for him. Another thing I thought of, and this is the last thing, and we'll take a break and then come back and talk about what this trade did to the front court and what the solutions are there. But thought about this last night, and it is.
Was it in the bathroom? You think about it in the bathroom?
Might have been in the shower, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think I was listening to the post-game show. I was in there shaving.
What? Oh,
yeah.
okay. You're not listening to when you're in the shower?
I was taking a shower, or I might have been shaving. One of those two, something. I was in there. Anyway, we talk so much.
I don't need a shave.
Yeah. Clearly, I haven't done much of it, but we talk so much about the Western Conference and the point guards there and how difficult they are to deal with, and they are. And it's a gauntlet. However, the Mavs don't have that dynamic two-way point guard. They don't have Chris Paul. They don't have Russell Westbrook. But in Monte Ellis and Rajon Rondo, when they're on the court together, they have a pair that if they move guys around correctly, they can force those guys, Chris Paul or whoever, to work their ass off on both ends.
There's not enough of it. Exactly. There's only most of these teams have one defensive stopper. If they do, if they don't, they're gonna have to make.
Monte is such a weapon.
Yeah.
Monte is gonna make one of their perimeter guys work, so they're gonna want to put their best perimeter defender on Monte.
What's the note from the producer saying?
Note from the producer says, "Going to Dairy Queen, my last hurrah." Because pretty soon about to go on lockdown and get into like healthy eating mode. She's gonna come back with some steak fingers. Didn't even ask me if I wanted anything. But you see what I'm saying?
Yes, that makes a ton of sense. Yes.
If I'm Doc Rivers, I'm putting Chris Paul on Monte.
I'd put him on Rodham. I'd put him on. Who's their starting? They'd put Redick. They would probably. Well, they'd probably.
Monte's gonna kill Redick off the
I know,
dribble.
but you want to try to conserve Paul as much as you can.
Exactly. Yes. That's my point.
Yes.
See?
So I'd probably stick him on Rondo.
Yeah.
Just let him breathe, but then after a while, you're going to have to do something
Yeah.
to adjust. So, yes, that's a very valid
We have
point.
a pair of guys in the backcourt that can that together make that elite two-way guard.
It still has the high possibility of being an elite offense, but it's going to be done a
It's not
different
going
way.
to be what it was. Everybody kind of needs to let their weenie deflate about this whole 116 points per 100 possessions thing, but it still should be good.
And
so.
I mentioned it casually last night that it's like someone who likes steak or someone who likes chicken. You're both going to be okay either
Yeah,
way. It's just a matter of how.
You're going to get your fill.
Yes.
As long as you shore up the front court.
Yes, which is something we have to talk
come
about
up next.
Next. Dairy Queen.
My throat is a joke right now.
Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 oh! Before we leave, let me tell y'all a little something. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. I said uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Come on, dance, jump on it. If you sunset and flown it. If you freak dead and own it. Don't brag about it, come show me. Come on, dance, jump on it. If you sunset and flown it. Well, it's Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe it, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 oh!
Yes, sir. I'm telling you,
I like that.
this song is like they went back into the best of what was good in the early 80s and made the perfect song. It's just about 5 minutes too short. I mean, it hits, dude. This is like the time. This is if they had an instrumental version of this, you could use this for NBA Nuggets.
That would be a good one. I'm sure you could find one. Who is it?
It's Mark Ronson. He's some English DJ dude.
I'll look into
Bruno
it.
Mars, kind of, whatever. But Bruno Mars actually, I can admit that he's talented, even though he's way pop right now.
He's pretty short too.
Is he? Well,
yeah, I've heard he's
there you go.
He's short and
Mavericks
concise.
Outside Report,
Big
episode
and hard.
92. I'm here. My voice is in a mess. I'm bearded up. Water wasn't really helping, so I got a beer.
Before we move on, we have a Twitter question, which it's a good question.
Hey, Twitter.
It's from Calhoun Tubbs.
Don't know him.
I don't know him either. But it's a good question. If things don't work out, who's the scapegoat for this team? Has to fall on somebody.
Man, that's a good question because it's going to depend heavily on
the actual results.
What looks bad when it happens,
You're right.
if it happens. And what's your definition of not working out for you?
I would say looking terrible in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Getting swept or gentlemen swept.
It'd
That would be bad.
Yeah. And it sucks to sit here and not say, well, or I should say it sucks to sit here and admit that getting to the second round is a tall order. But look at the West.
It's nasty.
So I'm with you on that. I think that's a fair expectation, although I would strongly prefer they win a series.
I think they're very capable of it.
Your scapegoat could be Monte if he goes cold. Your scapegoat could be Rondo if the offense doesn't. Here's the deal. If the offense doesn't look smooth, even if it's because your opponent's defense did it to you, people are going to blame Rondo.
Mm-hmm.
If your defense doesn't look good, it just depends who's beating you.
Right.
Nobody's going to blame Tyson Chandler for anything.
Right. He's
a made man
he's
in this
Teflon.
town. Same with Dirk.
Yeah.
How
What about Parsons?
But it could be, if
The easy thing is to
if
point out $15 million.
if Monte or Parsons, one, has a disappointing series offensively, woefully inefficient, whatever, they're going to be the guys that get called out.
Right.
If the whole team blows on offense, if the Mavs lose in 5 and score 90 points a game, Rondo's going to get it.
I agree.
And the reality of the situation is any of those things might happen, but all you got to do is remind yourself how it felt at the end of 08, 09, and 2010, and that 2011 still happened, and that when you get a core, you have to give yourself, and this is a new core. We're here now. It was a new core after the summer established it, but this for sure, this solidified the starting 5, in my opinion, assuming they can pay everybody or are willing to pay everybody. And I guess the only real question is Monte, because he can be an early bird if he opts out.
If he opts out, yes.
So that could be weird, I guess, potentially. But everybody else, you've got full bird rights. So if you want them to pay the most, to offer them the most money, you can. So to me, this is a new core. You got to give a chance to let this new core iron itself out and then build in those complementary pieces. And there's a few already there. Devin Harris obviously is one. And we know what JJ can do in short minutes. But you gotta, there's something needs to happen at small forward, backup, front, power forward, and center, and that leads us to where we are today, which is Brandon Wright goes out, Dwight Powell comes back. Who exactly?
He looked great in the D League this weekend.
He did, but you remember that time JJ played that one game for the Fort Worth Flyers and scored like 42 points and then went right back to the Mavs.
You have to look good in the D League if you have any shot.
Right now, you have no true backup center other than Greg Smith. He's Greg Smith,
who actually did look good last night.
He did.
He did.
And there's a reason they went and got him. They obviously saw something they liked, but you're not going to count on him in any short time for that. So right now you got Greg Smith and Charlie V. And Charlie V has played himself into a role, sir.
He's played himself into at least 12 to 15 minutes a night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? Except for some cases where the matchup is so tough defensively on the whole team that you just can't afford it.
Memphis.
Good point. Good example. He's a great backup for Dirk.
Right.
There's no reason why Charlie V should not be able to back up Dirk for as long as the Mavs can afford to keep him here. Which, other than dipping into an exception next year,
he might just want to stay.
He might, because he's playing himself into a nice little, in my opinion, so what is he, 32? 31?
He's early 30s.
I mean, he's playing himself into, in my opinion, based on the fact that he made the team on a non-guaranteed invite, and he's done this now. If he sustains
30.
the usability that he has now, he's not going to be this hot all year. But if he's usable like this, he's going to get a little like 3-year, $8 million, $9 million.
Yeah, 3 for 3 or something.
Kind of deal,
Yeah.
And the Mavs are going to have to dip into an exception for that, and you don't necessarily do that for Dirk's backup, although at this point in Dirk's career,
you might.
Maybe you do.
Yeah.
But I love it, dude. He's kind of like, he's Rudy right now because nobody expected anything out of him, and he's just killing it, knocking down 3 balls left and right, but that's only one sliver of what you need.
Right.
And you could have used that even with Brandon Wright on the roster. That doesn't fill what Brandon Wright left you, which was high percentage shots, putbacks, and just somebody who can defend, who can not defend because he really can't, but someone who can be your backup center and not get you straight killed and or not foul out immediately. Kilt, which Greg Smith, probably 4 out of 5 nights, going to get you killed because he's going to foul out in 10 minutes or he's just going to get killed.
Right.
So, and Brandon Wright, for all of his shortcomings, built up.
He progressed
his ability to at least hang. He wasn't going to do anything that you were going to really write home about.
He got shot. He didn't get killed.
He got to the point. There was a point a couple years ago where he wasn't playing at all against anybody with a big body. He got to the point where that wasn't the case anymore. He got to the point where he was getting that time off the bench against everybody.
Right.
So you got to have somebody else like that. And that brings us to where we are today.
Did you see the Jermaine O'Neal little Twitter monologue.
I did.
He had.
I did. What do you make of that?
He's just saying, "Hey guys, I'm Jermaine O'Neal. Don't forget about me." Okay, bye.
But he knew they were already he was already on their radar.
I think he's just telling the league.
So he's just kind of like, I'm not quite done yet. So why didn't he play this year? I mean, because he was serviceable last year.
He
for
did
Golden
well
State.
for Golden State,
and
yeah.
he had that period there where Bogut was out, and he started.
You just have to assume Bogut's going to be out indefinitely.
Oh yeah. But you remember there was like a 2-week stretch in there where you'd look up and it'd be like, Jermaine O'Neal just got 15 and 11.
Right.
What happened?
He ended up averaging 8 and 6 last season. That's
backup center.
Yeah.
All day long.
You'll take it.
All day long.
20 minutes a night. He gave you 20 minutes a night last season.
Man, do you realize that's Brendan Haywood?
Yeah.
That's what Brendan Haywood did for the Mavs 4 years ago.
But you trust him more defensively.
Yeah, because Brendan Haywood had that ability to do what I just described Greg Smith as, which is just suddenly foul out in an instant.
He was a hybrid of Greg Smith and Samuel Dallenberg.
Yeah.
That's a weird hybrid. But yeah, I don't know really what his intentions were by doing that. It was so random, but he said a lot of interesting things in it.
So he lives here.
Southlake, yes.
He lives
here.
So here.
I think he lives next door to you.
We can walk to Southlake in 10 minutes. We can be in Southlake.
It's cold right now, so I probably won't want to.
How Vivaldi is that? We can be in Southlake in 10 minutes. Not even 10, maybe like 6 minutes. It's right there. I'm pointing on the stream.
When you're looking, he's pointing to your right.
Right there.
Screen's right.
And I didn't know that, but so he lives here.
You didn't know Southlake was 6 minutes away?
I did know that.
Oh, okay.
But he lives here. We know that much. We know that him and Rick have history.
Is it good history? I would assume it is.
Do we know anybody that has bad history with Rick? I mean, even Steven Jackson goes to the mat for Rick.
That's true.
That's why I love Rick.
Chris Kaman.
That's a positive. That's a positive, dude. But yeah, we don't know anybody. That's why I love Rick. You look at Rick and you're like, man, he could be tough to get along with. Man, he could be tough to work for. Man, he's kind of an enigmatic genius type guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then all these dudes of all different personalities
shapes and sizes
and just really, really gifted players and players like Steven Jackson that are just troubled as shit. Like, I mean, Steven Jackson, his head's not right. And then other guys, the Dirks of the world, they all love him universally pretty much. You don't hear anything bad. So that's why he's the Rickster, and that's why I said early in this podcast, episode 3, that
you want that hot tub.
We need Rickster. We need Rickster here on a long-term deal. So he's got that. We know he played a little bit with Rondo in Boston. I don't have any idea if there's any bro love there, but it seems like a bit of a good fit. I just don't know
what's taking so long.
Is there a mutual interest? Have there been conversations? And it's just a matter of him saying, "Give me a week, I'll come in and work out for y'all," or is he like, "Get me till January 15th," or
right.
I don't know. When can you do 10-day contracts? January 10th or something like that?
Yeah, it's early to mid-January when those start to pop up.
Not that he would have anything to do with that, but I always think about that as sort of a watermark in the season, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it other than I think if he can run up and down the court without
January 5th.
Okay, so coming up.
Yeah.
Next Monday. Other than if he can run up and down the court without his knees swelling up, then you'd take him.
Right, and you just have to see how he's stayed in shape, if he has stayed in shape. I think you want to see that workout like you talked about, just say, hey, go bang around with Greg Smith for 10 minutes and let's see what you've got.
Yeah, and let's see how you feel 2 days from now.
Right.
How sore are you?
Outside of Jermaine O'Neal, which I still think is a very realistic option, I would say it's better than 50% that happens.
Before you move on to that, we got a question on the stream.
Okay.
Is Andrew Bynum available?
Sure. Which side of where the hell is he?
Yeah, which dumpster is he living in?
Yes. He's available, but I don't think.
If they don't want to even kick the tires on Josh Smith,
right,
then they're damn sure not going to do it on Andrew Bynum. Different position, so different urgency of need, but that's that.
I don't know. No.
That's one guy I wouldn't touch.
Outside of Jermaine O'Neal, which I still think is very likely. It's just a matter of when. There's not a lot of intriguing names other than like Emeka Okafor that strike you as a guy off the street. But then you still
He's on the street?
Yeah, he's on the street. I don't think he's in South Lake. I'm pretty sure he's not in the state.
He's from Houston.
Well, he might be in the state then.
Yeah.
The most intriguing name that I know Skin, friend of the show, Skin has mentioned, which is a ripple effect.
Hey, look at my junk.
I know. I'm not.
He always wants you to do that.
Even in the press conference room, he's just like, he'll pop out in Rick's door and say, hey, look at my junk.
It's a real problem.
Real
problem.
Intriguing name he's mentioned that makes a lot of sense, even though it's insanely weird, is Kevin Garnett.
I know. It makes a ton of sense.
What would have to happen is that trade that's been rumored with Sacramento has to go through, and at that point you're saying it's a rebuild for sure in Brooklyn, and KG's like, okay, no one's going to trade me because I'm making $12 million this year. Buy me out. Let me go. And Brooklyn's probably going to be like, the ruble's down. I don't care.
The ruble's down.
He doesn't care, though.
Balling with Brian, pulling in the global economic currency.
I try.
Crises
today. But Prokhorov would probably do it. So at that point.
But you got Prokhorov and then this Vivek or whatever. Who's the guy?
Yeah, it's Vivek.
But these two fuckers. You want to talk? These guys are the two most just knucklehead owners right now in all of sports, not just basketball. So we have they might be on the phone right now being like, well, I'll do it, but you better give me your first round pick in 2042 unprotected, because they're both idiots. So I don't know if we can sit back and speculate with our normal brains about things and why they happen in the league with those two fools.
I think that trade accelerates the progress of buying the buyout of Garnett. I think it happens one way or another because Brooklyn's just not really going anywhere. They're stuck in the mud.
Boy, we said it, man. The construction of that team with Joe Johnson on top of Deron Williams on top of
Deron.
I'm not having a good day with names today. It's this throat thing.
Are you going to call yourself?
I never called him. Even 3 years ago when we talked about him every other week, I didn't call him.
Are you going to say this is Relon Rowe?
Whatever.
But yeah, it looked doomed from the start. Jason Kidd looked weird going to Milwaukee, but he looks incredibly smart right now. I think that would just be a weird. Okay, first off, it's probably not likely if he got bought out that he would go to Dallas. I would think like the Clippers or San Antonio or Memphis. One of those teams would be more appealing. Obviously, the Clippers would be more appealing because he wanted to go there to follow Doc. But
yeah, he'd go to the Clippers.
I would think he'd have to go there. But if he did go to Dallas, that would be the weirdest thing in a series of weird things that has happened to this organization.
Yep.
Weird. How would he react with J.J. Barea? How would he react with Josh Howard if he just happened to pop up in the building?
And then Brad Davis would be like, oh, okay.
But they definitely.
It's like one of my favorite calls of all time is Josh Howard putting a three in KG's eye just after he jawed at him on the defensive end, and then Brad Davis going, oh, okay. He was a rookie back then, back when we had hope. Back before you couldn't control what the ball do.
Exactly. I still think it's going to be Jameer.
No,
Josh.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It is crazy. I still think it's likely with Jermaine. Jermaine. You still have a hole to fill in your small forward shooting because as resourceful as Rick Carlisle thinks Richard Jefferson is, he's not really passing the eye test.
My God. What happened?
What happened to Al-Farouq Aminu?
Well, he was never going to be a shooter.
He was never going to be a shooter, but you still could use him defensively.
I know. If you listen to the post game last night on the ticket, you'd have Followell's rant about that.
What happened?
He went on this rant, and it was great. I agreed. But he ranted, and he kept going, and it was so.
Was Jake holding him back?
No, man. He was just like, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to take this off topic, but this has been bothering me. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be good. And it was so good that Courtney came in from the other room, walked in. I'm in there shaving, and she goes, Okay, what happened? Mark sounds mad. She's like, did we just get blown out? Did someone get hurt? Like, what's going on? Like, she thought there was like some like consequential negative for the franchise based on his tone. And I was like, no, he's just ranting, and it's a really good rant. And it was basically a rant against the stretchification of forwards in the NBA and how everybody thinks that you got to have a big man that you can put out on the three-point line and all the great things that can happen when you do that. Of course, when they can shoot, it is great. And so he was making a point that there have been players, and he used Nick Collison as an example because it was Oklahoma City in town last night. He used the example of Nick Collison's shooting percentage always being in the mid-50s, and then this year he's taking a ton more three-pointers, and his shooting percentage is like 42% or something because he's out there doing something he shouldn't be doing. And he said, well, the way the league is going, we're forcing a lot of square pegs into round holes. And he used Aminu as an example, and he didn't like the fact that Aminu is now buried, and a lot of it has to do maybe with the fact that he's not making threes.
Shoot, yeah.
And but he's not going to. He's got other things he does on the court, so use him, and that's fine. But Richard Jefferson should be able to make a damn three. Look at what he did the last couple years.
Right.
There's no reason why he can't get space here, and he is getting space here. There's not going down. It's like, I don't know. It's like I compared him to Eddie Jones the other day when Eddie had his like 10 minutes here. Of like 5 minutes ago, that guy was a lot better. Did we just buy at the absolute wrong time? I don't know.
Or did he bust it all out in the preseason?
Yeah.
Because he looked really good in the preseason, and things just have gone awry. So I think they're going to be able to fill the hole in terms of the big man position by hook or by crook one way or another. It's going to be incredibly interesting to see what happens with the small forward position. There's still the corpse of Raymond Felton, who played 5 minutes.
Irrelevant.
Or he
played
played
a minute.
He played 2 minutes at the most, and he was a -5.
Yeah.
In that period. So the cardinal sin for teams is to trade a big for a point guard. So that takes Raymond Felton off the books as an option to try to get a big if it doesn't work with Jermaine.
Especially a big for a point guard that never plays and is always hurt.
But maybe there's an option with a wing where you can find something where it's like a Dante Jones for Anthony Morrow deal.
Yeah.
It's like two trading cards at the back of your deck that you just don't mind shifting.
We got another guy on the stream. He's got another good from the Andrew Bynum collection.
Same guy?
Kenyon Martin, different guy. He says Kenyon Martin's still in shape.
I think he wanted to go somewhere. I can't remember where. I read that like a couple of days ago that he said he was ready and he could go somewhere to play. It definitely wasn't Dallas.
DeJuan Blair.
You can't get him.
Wouldn't it be great though?
Yeah. He said he was going to work out for the Martin was going to work out for the Grizzlies.
Okay. Boy, yeah. Let's get him in there with Zebo and all them. Just throwing guys around.
Just beating the crap out of each other in practice for 20 minutes.
Well, Zebo hurt now, but
DeJuan Blair would be a great.
Wouldn't that be perfect?
A Javon Bear reemergence would be amazing.
Javon Bear.
I know. It's unfortunate you can't get him because he would be perfect.
Sucks.
Yeah.
And he didn't get a truckload of money from Washington.
No.
$2 million. 2.1, 2.2. I mean, Mavs could have done it. Would have had less space to do a couple of the other things they did this year.
But they wanted to pursue Greg Smith.
Yeah. But think about that would be perfect right now for what this team has.
And he's only played in 9 games. He's been dealing with some injuries and suspensions and stuff like that. He's averaging 4.6 minutes, less than a point, less than a rebound. So he's not fitting in at all. Because they have Gortat's been stable. Nene or
Nene.
He's been okay. If he's not hurt, then if he's hurt, Chris Humphreys, of all people, has been the guy that's been able to step up. So DeJuan Blair.
It's tough.
I know DeJuan.
I think of him when I think of Chris Humphreys. I feel like they're kind of on the same mental wavelength.
I wonder if DeJuan Blair has second thoughts now about just waiting it out.
Nah, he's got them.
He didn't have enough options, really.
Nah.
But
he played his way into that deal. He got a nice raise. He got a 100% raise over what he made last year. And congrats to him. Sucks that it's not a good fit. Too bad Dallas really can't do anything.
You can't even do you take Samuel Dallenberg as a backup, but you can't even do that either.
No.
There's
It's Jermaine O'Neal or bust, man.
It kind of is. But I still think it. Even though it sounds like that, I still think it's going to happen.
Emeka Okafor, though, is intriguing that you brought him up, but he hasn't been on anybody's radar.
He's been off the grid.
He must. That means he's like not touched basketball, and you don't want to have anything to do with him, probably.
Right.
Unfortunately,
or he hurt
sad.
He hurt his foot when he tried to grab a ball. One or the other. So we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna get nostalgic for the year of 2014.
Oh yeah. I gotta find my notes on this.
We are going to list our likes and dislikes from the entire year of 2014.
The whole year.
The entire year.
January 1
to December
to December 29th,
2014.
So 363 likes and dislikes coming up next.
In this brand new age, we do everything quick, fast, in a hurry. All of our lives are stage. Everybody stars, reality so blurry. If you scream out loud, loud, the top of your voice wouldn't be higher than the crowd. No, tattoo-less and proud. Yeah, we're getting high on something that doesn't require clouds. No.
More funk.
I like it.
Second hour of Mavericks Outside Report, episode
92.
92. Of course, if you're listening on the podcast, it hasn't quite been an hour. But Raw with breaks, we're at 57 minutes, so suck it if you think I'm wrong.
Or is it Ray without breaks? Rajan.
Raw Dog.
Yeah.
Rajan. Just think about
this is for a PSA for the kids right here.
ODB. I like it raw. Raw Dog. Rajan. ODB. Rajan. Yeah, so funk today on the Mavericks Outside Report.
I approve.
Mark Ronson, and we got the new Prince joint. Which, okay, so Prince put out 2 albums. One was a rock-oriented album, one was an R&B. And I would have bet any sum of money that I would have liked the rock one better because I really haven't enjoyed much of his R&B style output. Hardly since, the mid-90s at best, maybe even earlier than that. But this R&B album, there's 11, I think, songs on it. I mean, like 9 of them are like,
boom,
on point. So, Prince, y'all. Make it happen.
That's your guy.
That's my dude.
That's your G.
Yeah, so Brian texted me the other day.
On our pre-production meeting.
One of our mini he wanted to pre-text me. The pre-introduction to the pre-production meeting. And he said, what do you think about doing a 2014 wrap-up since we're so close to the end of the year and we can just talk about what we liked and didn't like? And I'm like, that's great. And people love lists, so we're like, let's just do 5 things because people just love 5 things. Top 5 things. Fucking Peter King has made millions getting on every Monday morning and saying, these are the top 5 things I think. And half of them are about high school girls lacrosse. And everybody laps that shit up because people love
lists.
Bam. So we decided we would do that, and it's cool because when you do that in basketball,
you have 2 seasons in play.
Yeah, you have an off season and 2 seasons. So actually, I'm kind of surprised we didn't think about this earlier.
It was just the calendar.
Because we're, when you do a podcast, you're kind of
we always look ahead.
You're doing deeper. Podcast is like deep cuts, album tracks. This isn't Cowherd. We're not. This is not Skip Bayless. We're digging deep. There's no dollar menu.
I would be the Skip Bayless though.
Yeah.
You would be the Cowherd.
I'd be Stephen A. And my throat's in too bad of shape to do it.
However,
to do a Stephen A. impression right now. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay, Ron.
Oh.
It's okay.
Oh,
Get some beer in you.
My throat is a joke right now.
Oh God, I'm dying. But anyway, there's no dollar menu shit here. We like to go a little deeper because that's what podcast listeners are looking for. And so when you get the off season in the mix, we love the off season. We love spitballing ideas about here's how we're going to trade for this guy and sign this guy and whatever. So it's a cool idea. I'm glad you thought about it. So how are we going to do this?
We'll start with the likes, and then we'll just rattle back and forth, touch base real quick on each one, maybe give a little passing thought on each one. So I'm going in chronological order. So this is going back, and we're moving up.
Mine are in the order that I thought of them.
That's fine.
How's that
There's
for
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with
How's
that
that
at
for
all.
organization? All up in your eye with this organization.
We're gonna go with
making awesome lists in the United Nations.
I am going to go with Vince Carter's buzzer beater in Game 3.
Oh.
We match?
Yep.
I wonder how many we're going to match. I don't think we're going to match very much on the dislikes.
It's okay if we match, though.
That has to be one of the greatest shots in Mavericks history.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And the swagger that was involved, hearing about the play afterwards is kind of like legend, where Monte's saying, Carlisle's talking to Vince in the huddle and saying, you're going to get the ball and you're going to get the shot. Because this worked off of the pet play that the Mavericks designed in a shoot-around the day of the game. They used it on the road in Portland, where it was off of a inbound curl to Monte, and he hit the buzzer beater. They used that about 3 different times over the course of the season, the same idea, but they added the wrinkle of Vince Carter on the corner. And
as an option,
as a bailout option, because everyone knew, or you knew as
they were sitting
as
on
heck.
it.
Greg Popovich knew that was the play.
Sure.
And Jose Calderon
this is why Rick is just
Rick,
dude.
Rick was like, okay, Pop, boom, here's the corner, here's the corner. That was an amazing shot.
It was. I'll give you mine on it.
Okay.
I had it on my list. It was the 4th one I thought of. Doesn't mean it was number 4. It's simply the 4th one that I thought of. I agree. 2 reasons. Well, actually, really only 1 reason.
You know what? I don't have a reason.
I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to make it simple. 1 reason only. The joy. Just the sheer elation of the feeling after he hit this shot. We hadn't felt that since 2011.
Right.
Because was that the second game Dallas won?
Yes.
In that series?
Yes.
So the first game hadn't been – the first game that they won, Game 2, was a blowout.
Right.
So this was the first dramatic win since the finals. And it was like letting out that Mavs joy. We were over here at the house watching it. We were getting ready to go with some friends over to Dallas to the Rustic.
Oh, okay.
And see a band, hang out in the backyard, drink beer, whatever. So they came. And they walked in with 28 seconds left in the game. There was like 1 play and then this play. So I've got a couple friends over here, 2 toddlers. I ran around screaming, jumping like a 2-year-old. I haven't done that in years for a Mavs game. Not even going back to 2011. You have to go back further than that. The little kids were like scared. I was jumping up and down. I mean, I was so fired up. I ran back here. I was standing up at the time, and I ran back there to the recliner, and I was just punching the back of the recliner going, yeah. I was so excited, dude, so fired up. It put me in such a good mood, and I know. And that was a game that we had tickets for, and we gave them up, and I don't remember why. And I laid there when I thought of this list trying to think of why we gave them up, and I couldn't remember.
Did you go, why, Mama?
I don't know why, but I was like, dang it, we could have been there. And there was so much joy in the building. And it shows you how joyous it is. I'm a pretty cynical guy generally. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty realistic about the world. Another guy that's associated, been on this show several times, Jake Kemp, is cynical times 1,000. Okay? Well, I told you I was going to the Rustic. I saw Jake there. Mm. So here's 2 very cynical, well, we're still going to lose in 6 couple of guys. I saw him, and I swear, we both had to, like, run and bro hug each other. We were so happy from the game. It was like we stood around talking about that shot for 10 minutes. oh man, yeah, it was amazing. Like we didn't even talk at first. We just high-fived. Like, yes, this shot was unbelievable. And so for me, that was like my favorite Mav moment of the year last year, probably.
It has to be. I can't think of a whole lot that can really top that.
Yep. So it was good to experience the joy.
Yeah.
The joy of Vince.
Your turn.
Okay, so this is an obvious one, and that's why I thought of it first. I wanted to get it out of the way, but it bears being noted, and that is the Dirk scoring milestones.
Sure.
Every few months, Dirk sucks under some other guy, some other NBA legend that he has now outscored. It just makes you be thankful for how good Dirk is, how lucky Dallas is to have Dirk, the best basketball player to come through this town, one of the best 20 to ever touch a basketball as far as I'm concerned. It's just a constant reminder, and it keeps going. So that's mine.
He's 58 points away from passing Moses. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
3 more games probably.
Two or three, give
Yeah.
or take. Yeah, that's a great one. Every couple weeks oh, come on now.
Jeez.
Every couple weeks you're just reminded of how good he's been over a long period of time.
It's a staggering number of points.
It is. It really is. My next one actually goes along with Dirk as well. For me personally, it was getting to talk with Dirk this summer for a series that I got to do with ESPN Dallas.
That was cool.
It was a good 20-minute interview where he made fun of me walking up. He was like, Israel Gutierrez, good to see you. Oh, you're not Israel. You're the other Gutierrez.
Who's Israel Gutierrez?
He's a main guy for ESPN now. He was based in Miami, but he got bumped up for ESPN. But we got to talk about a lot of different stuff in 20 minutes, and it worked over the course of a 5-part series for ESPN Dallas. And it ended up being heavy because we talked a lot about the twilight of his career.
Come on, Brian. What you got, bud?
He didn't say that, but we talked about the twilight of his career and what he can do after, and he talked about how he could be a one-on-one mentor like Holger is. He talked about how he's proud that the game has opened up more for power forwards, and he feels like he had a little bit of an influence on that.
That's the irony of the stretchification rant, which I completely agree with and am frustrated by, which is it's mostly due to Dirk.
Mm-hmm.
Revolutionized the 4. A 7-footer with threes galore.
Exactly. It was just a fun opportunity, and he clearly didn't have to do it in the middle of the summer when no one media related is in that building, and he took the time, and it was just fun.
Because Dirk is a good man.
He is a good man. Next, for you.
Back to the joy factor for me, it was the home opener against Utah on October 30th or November 1, somewhere in there, 2014. And that was after, just prior to the first timeout that was taken by Utah early in the game. Tyson Chandler had 2 dunks in about 4 possessions. The last one was a putback dunk on an offensive rebound. Big dunk over a guy. After he dunks it. He walks out. The crowd's going crazy. He walks out to midcourt and just does this primal scream in the middle of midcourt. And it was just a big group hug for all of the Mavs fans. Mavs, all the MFFFLLs. Big old group hug. He said, guys,
I'm back.
And I love y'all. And it was so guttural Tyson. You could tell he was glad to be back. The fans were elated. It just was a signature play from him anyway, and I loved it. It was just I was happy to be there that night to see him come back in official status and not just, preseason games. But then to have that play happen and with his reaction and the crowd reaction, great moment.
He just gets love during that starting lineup introduction.
Yeah, he does.
They just love hearing that name. That's a good one. My next one is the drama over the wait period with Chandler Parsons.
Ooh.
I loved that. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That's the thing that nerds, CBA nerds,
Yes.
and off-season nerds, and which we are. If we weren't, we wouldn't be doing something like this. That's what you live for. aside from great basketball, that's your favorite thing, man. You're just on Twitter, just hitting refresh, reading Adrian Wojnarowski and Mark Stein, and both of those guys say something, it's the truth.
Right. But it was
like if both of those guys tweet, sell all your stock market's tanking. I'm doing it.
Gone.
I'm in.
I'm gone.
I'm done.
It was fun because I was in Vegas at the time, and Cuban is there. Rylan, beer it up, dude. You okay, bro?
I might die.
Okay.
My throat.
That's a good one. I was in Vegas at the time, and this was.
Ow.
So this is during the summer league. Cubans out there. They've played their hand. Now they're waiting the 72 hours for it to happen.
You're like Forrest Gump.
You've already talked about this.
I know.
Don't rehash it. Don't rehash it.
You're like a smart Forrest Gump. You're like Forrest Gump with like a 140 IQ. How about that? Because this is just like when you ended up writing for the Mavs because Cuban was mad at Mavs Moneyball that 1 week or whatever. And you're just there at the right place, the right time, just like last summer with headline porn.
Mm-hmm.
Forrest Gump, bro. I love it.
So that was going on, and everyone wanted to hear his take. And everyone was kind of hovering in the vicinity of Cuban,
Yep.
but no one wanted to go.
Yep.
And then there was Jonathan Fagan, who writes for the Houston Chronicle. So he obviously has a vested interest in it as well. And we've seen each other during those games where Houston plays Dallas, so on and so forth. So he saw me, and he was like, go up and talk to him first. He likes you. That's exactly what he said. Go up and talk to him because he likes you.
Everybody was scared.
Everyone was scared. So I went up there, and then we got to hear the back and forth for about 10 minutes. But it was just fun seeing that play out for 72 hours where no one had a damn clue.
So much nail biting and waiting to see what Chris Bosh was going to do. Then you have the whole interplay with Daryl Morey, and half the world thinks he's the smartest guy since Billy Bean. Half the world is like me and feels about Daryl Morey the way Bob Sturm feels about Chip Kelly, which is that I'm sick of everybody acting like he hung the freaking moon. Let's get over it. Let's let us see his team win something. So, and then him and Cuban going back and forth. Loved it, man. It was great. It's funny that you had that one because my next one was that 2014 was the year that brought us a young gentleman known as Demo Swag. Yes, folks, Demo Swag. Kind of a homeless man's Uncle Nate. And Uncle Nate's like what? Like a homeless man's Maverick Carter?
Sure.
or
sure.
something.
I can't think of any more in the pecking. I don't know the depth chart of these guys.
I don't either, but we know where Uncle Nate lives, and we know where Demo Swag lives on the pecking order. Regardless of not knowing who's at the top, we know who's at or near the bottom.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of Uncle Nate's shenanigans. He does follow me on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, he's
Nice.
a Dirk fan, and he's an Aggie. I'm a Dirk fan, and I'm an Aggie, so I guess we have that.
Why
in
haven't
common.
y'all hung out yet?
That, and we both have similar opinions on the NCAA.
Mm.
I'm just not a Chris starter kit. So, and he is, but that's okay. He won't listen to this anyway. Uncle Nate, don't unfollow me, please. He doesn't follow. I read his whole followers list. The only people from the DF Dub that he follows are me and Ben Rogers.
Wow.
No, like, I was looking for Sturm. I was looking for Cowboys people. I was looking for, like, Followell. I was looking for, anybody that is a big purveyor of information about sports teams here.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. Just me and Ben Rogers. And I know why. It's because we've both been sort of tongue-in-cheek praising Uncle Nate. And he probably didn't see through. Back when Uncle Nate first hit, I was very team Uncle Nate. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Demo Swag. The world needs more Demo Swags and Uncle Nates because they provide fun and entertainment for people like me on Twitter. And good on you, Demo Swag. I wish my friends were good at basketball. I'd be hanging out trying to skim off some of that too, especially if I was a young man. The world needs more.
Be careful what you say here.
The world needs more for the comic value. It needs more kind of generic middle-class white guys that find themselves being head dog in an entourage. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a
More twos that think they're ones.
yeah, man. It's fun. It just makes life more fun. So
Yeah.
go on and you do you, Demo Swag.
Next one.
Unless you call yourself Demo Swag.
Yes. Next one for you.
Okay.
Is this your fourth or fifth? This is your fourth, right?
That's my fifth.
Oh, okay.
Because you stole Vince.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
So my fifth and final. You texted this to me a couple nights ago. Thought about it a little bit. Then I woke up the next morning about 6 o'clock. Didn't fall immediately back to sleep. Started thinking about this. Started getting some ideas in my head. Had an idea of where I wanted to go. Had 3 or 4 good ones. And then I thought of this one that was just perfect, man. It was so perfect. It was funny, but it was topical. It had to do with basketball. It was intelligent, funny. And I said, shit, I better get my phone and write all these down before I forget them. And I wrote down the other 4. And by the time I got to the last one, I couldn't remember it because I was still half asleep. So now I'm on a podcast trying to explain whatever the hell I thought of as my favorite thing. And I ain't got nothing.
You ain't got shit.
So I went with Follow Will's beard.
That's a good one.
Because he brought the beard out in 13 at first, but he got rid of it around preseason. It's like he felt like
he was scared to bring it on.
The beard
TV.
wasn't quite ready for primetime TV, or primetime TV wasn't quite ready for the beard. This year, he said, screw it, man. I'm bringing the beard. And then Skin followed suit, which
he lapped.
He
lapped.
Of course, he's
well.
had a beard a lot. I mean, he had he looked like Obi-Wan during the lockout. He's like, has a beard a lot in the off season, but never during the season. And then Mark decided to keep the beard in the season, thus making it okay to have a beard on TV. I'm pro beard. If you're watching the stream, you can clearly see that. So my fifth and final favorite thing of 2014, in lieu of a good, intelligent basketball point, is Follow Will's beard.
The one.
Boy, I was hoping for a little more from the Mavericks play-by-play guy.
I'll go quickly on 4 because we've touched on most of it already. I said the moves that were made. Just acquiring Tyson, Parsons, and Rondo. Those were just home runs. My final one is Monte Ellis's approach in the clutch.
I thought about Monte time. I thought about putting Monte time on there, actually.
Right. I would put that and the emergence of Run DMC.
Yep.
That was fun. So those were my likes. Let's go to dislikes. Again, chronologically, I'm going with Brandon's right.
I never thought of a fifth one.
I don't have a fifth one either, so we'll do this on the spot.
Perfect.
Brandon Wright's impact during the San Antonio series. I disliked that a lot.
Yeah.
He just could not play, but it worked out because DeJuan Blair could play, and he did everything in the world to keep the Mavericks in that series. Your throat.
Yeah, and that one game that he got kicked out of was on the verge of being known canonically forever in Mavs lore as the DeJuan Blair game.
Right.
Because they would have won that game.
Yeah, they were surging. I think they ended up losing just by 4 in that one.
Yep.
That was a brutal one. So Brandon Wright's ineffectiveness during the San Antonio series was a dislike.
My turn?
Yes.
We alternating?
Yes.
Spurs. Spurs. Had to play the damn Spurs again. I'm so sick of the Spurs. I'm just so freaking tired of the Spurs. I became so tired of the Spurs. In fact,
that you started to love Manu Ginobili.
No. I did yell at Pop the other night at that Spurs game, the one where I saw you at.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was sitting real close to their bench.
Yeah.
I was hollering at Pop good.
What'd you do?
Just yelling at him.
Pop!
Telling him to stop working the ref. And then I told the ref, hey, Pop's not your daddy. Because Pop brought him over.
Why aren't you recording this?
Should have been. I don't think I don't think things through, and then I come on here and I say Rajon Rondo and Deron Williams. God, dog it. Anyway, and my buddy Eric, who I was with, I was like, man, 8-9 years ago, I would be going ape shit right now.
You would have been thrown out of the building.
I would have been riding that whole bench hard. But as it was, that one ref, he made a call that Pop didn't like, and Pop started working his magic, And I said, sit down, Obi-Wan, because he looks like Obi-Wan now with his gray beard. But it was really fascinating to watch him work his trade, not just on the refs, but everybody. It was fascinating to watch him talk to players. Look, I think he's an amazing coach. I really do respect him. My Spurs hate really doesn't even center around him, but he had a call that he didn't appreciate, and the ref came over and he said, "We talked about this. We talked about this." And I'm like, you're making the ref think you're coaching him. He's using psychology to make the ref think that the ref needs to do what he says. So I told the ref, I said, "Pop's not your daddy. Pop is not going to take you out for hugs and ice cream after this game. You're supposed to be officiating it." But anyway, I'm sick of the Spurs. We had to play them again in 2014. It sucked. I want them to go away forever. And it's so bad that I actually kind of have decided today I'm done. I'm retired from bitching about the Spurs.
Market.
I just don't have the energy anymore. I just can't do it. There's too much other things going on in the world for me to bitch about the Spurs. I've been doing it for 13 years. I'm tired.
It'll come back around by like episode 94.
I'm out.
You'll unretire. You'll wear the 45 and you'll
I'll come back wearing the 4-5.
Yes. Weird enough for a dislike was losing Jose Calderon and Gal Meckel during the offseason. I like those guys. They were just nice guys. They were nice guys to have in the locker room. They're incredibly friendly, and they did well in spurts when they were on the floor. So just like I mentioned earlier with Brandon Wright leaving and not seeing him in the locker room, I just like not seeing those guys in the locker room.
I hear you. I like both of those dudes. Meckel wasn't an NBA player. He had cement shoes. I mean, Calderon did good things. So, and we see it now. It'd be nice to have him, but you got to give something to get something in this league.
Right.
I guess I have to unretire. Fuck. I guess I have to unretire for a second, and then I'll retire.
This is the 45 coming out sooner than we thought.
P.J. Tucker and Patty Mills. I'm sick of not just spares, but spares that should be punchlines being picked up by Western Conference teams and doing amazing things, being critical cogs in teams that are winning 54, 57, 59 games every year. I'm tired of it. It needs to stop. I know the Mavs have had a few lucky finds themselves. They just turned Brandon Wright into Rajon Rondo. That's great. Rajon Rondo, I almost got it. But Patty Mills, he played in China. He used to get trolled on Twitter by Sean Dodge. And then P.J. Tucker played at Texas like under Tom Penders like in 1981, and the son of a bitch is out here shooting threes and making them all. I'm sick of it.
Are you retired again?
I'm back. I'm done. I'm unretired.
Okay. You're unretired?
You
re-retired.
I'm unretired.
Okay. This one is a very immediate one. It's people overreacting to how things looked early after the Rondo deal. Especially after.
Come on, Brian.
Sorry.
This was after the Phoenix game, and I kind of went on a little sassy rant on Twitter.
Good for you, because people do overreact. People love to overreact.
People just flipped their lid that they looked terrible, and it wasn't necessarily due to the offense. They just looked lethargic and lazy. That's not just bad offense.
Yeah.
That's just being lazy.
They had a couple games where they just looked lethargic. Yeah, they did.
Right.
And as it turned out, apparently half the team had the flu.
Right.
So maybe that had something to do with it.
So I strongly disliked people's overreaction to the need to look great immediately.
Yep. Word.
Unfortunate.
The Western Conference.
You just dislike it?
In 2014. The Western Conference. The Western Conference is bullshit. Why does every properly run team in the league have to be in the West? And why does every dog shit dumpster fire have to be in the East? I'm sick of it. It's making me tired.
I thought of my fifth. I'm sorry.
Great. Good for you. I'll never remember my other one. I'm going to have Followell's beard haunting me for the rest of my life. Yeah, Western Conference.
West is tough.
I hate it. I'm sick of it. Cuban's right. Something needs to happen.
He tweaked it last night.
And I think I said the other day when we were talking about this, or maybe it was on a podcast 6 months ago. I don't know. But we need to have relegation. And we need to relegate some of these fuckers to I don't know, Besiktas or something. Because It's ridiculous. There's teams in the East, Brian, that have not been good in my entire adult life. I'm nearly 34, or I'm 34, nearly 35, and my second kid is going to be here any second. My second kid is coming during this episode. And there's teams that are still shit, that were shit in 1998 when I turned 18. I'm so sick of the Western Conference. Why does my team always have to be? It's like the Cowboys always have to be with the freaking Eagles and the freaking Giants. The Rangers always have to deal with the Angels and the stupid A's, which need to just have their asses kicked from here to the end of the world. And then this. Phoenix, man. Phoenix would be number 2 probably in the East if they played in the East, or 3.
They'd be up there.
And they can't even. They're gonna miss it. They're gonna miss the playoffs again.
Yeah.
And that's a well-run. Franchise, and always has been. Dallas has been good. I mean, thank God Sacramento has Vivek fucking everything up now, because that's a formerly decently run franchise that's gone in the crapper. Thankfully, Denver hired Masai Ujiri or whatever, and then fired him 3 days later, or whatever happened there. Had a Rosas situation, because they're in the crapper. Everybody else is good.
Phoenix would actually be 5th in the East, but they'd be playing the East teams a lot
Exactly.
more, so their
That's what I'm
record
saying.
would bump up.
Yeah, Chicago and Toronto.
Cleveland
maybe.
Cuban tweaked his Reformation project last night and said he would only move Dallas and Chicago. He said, forget the rest of the Texas teams.
Sucks to be Chicago.
Yeah.
But I want to get rid of it. I want to move away from the Texas teams because I'm sick of them. But there's a lot of those Eastern teams that need to come west and play these teams 4 times a year.
New York. Well, Philly. No,
Those don't make geographical sense. Let's go north and south. They don't have to make geographical sense. It's 2014. All right, it's your turn, bro.
This is another frequent one. The amount of people that are rolling in the Dallas Mavericks locker room. Credentials are thrown all over the place.
So things have changed. I thought it was pretty tight a few years ago.
Not anymore. On the first Rondo game, there was at least 40 people in the locker room.
Devon Bear.
Imagine your basic locker space to work with is this table to the wall. We're giving you.
That's generous.
I'm giving you generous room.
Yeah, and that's generous.
Generous. Imagine 40 people around this spot. 40. That's way too many.
Yeah. We got to stop this.
Way too many.
What are we going to do about this, Brian?
I don't know. But we might have to shame some of them in just a few minutes, which is what we're going to do.
All right. We are going to do credential shaming.
Yes.
Because, look, man.
Not yet. We still have to finish.
No, but I'm gonna support your argument here, because I support what you do, because you go in and really try to work your content, and there's others like you that do that what you get from a player helps to drive a story. Tim McMahon gets kind of poked fun at because he's very combative, almost to the point of humor on some things, and the old Cuban dust-up from years ago. But, I mean, I read nearly everything he posts. I read it because I know it's gonna work together. It's gonna have something that it's gonna help flesh out my point of view on something, you know? But there's no way all those people are doing that. And do we really need every radio station to have Cray Trey or whoever in there holding the fucking iPhone, getting the same quote? Cuban, you're a technology guy. Why don't you have one person recording it and putting it on SoundCloud for all the ticker guys to go pull? Because most of those guys don't want to be there anyway. They're not. If they're not really asking questions,
they don't show up on time first.
They're not adding anything.
Right.
So if you're not asking questions, go to SoundCloud and get it for your story or for your audio cut or for your whatever.
That's a great idea.
That's it. That's my feeling. I'll call Mark. I'll text him later. We're iMessage buddies. I should send it to him on Cyberdust. I say, hey man, why don't you get the locker room less crowded so my man Ballin' with Brian can actually provide some good content, and Cray Trey can not stand there like a dope with his iPhone recording stuff and contributing nothing.
Did you figure out your?
I just say that because Cray Trey's funny to say.
He's funny to say.
I'm sure. I don't know if
I don't
know him. He may be.
He's a nice guy.
I generally have nothing but love for all things ticket, so I'm sure he's a great gentleman. But His name's Cray Trey, so I'm going to use him as my punchline.
It's a funny punchline.
Sorry, guy.
Do you have a fifth? Do you have a fifth dislike?
Yeah.
I thought
fourth.
You have a fourth. And come up with your fifth on the fly.
Maybe. But Jameer Nelson.
Yeah, that's tough.
When this signing happened, we were all kind of patting ourselves on the back saying, look at this, man. This is a great dollar-for-dollar signing for Dallas. What a privilege to have a veteran like this come into Dallas for $2 million and change. He's steady and he can spot up. What happened? All he had to do
What did he have to do?
Was to spot up and be slightly quicker than Jose Calderon on defense. And he couldn't do it. That's all he had to do. And I don't understand. He could have done more. His career would make you think that he was capable of doing more than those two things. But at the end of the day, with the way the team was built going into the season, that's all he really needed to do to be adequate. And he didn't do it. What was he on offense? It made no sense. And, we spent the last podcast, we probably spent 10 minutes trying to make excuses for why he was doing what he was doing. But then we were only like 10, 12 games into it. Then we had another 12 games, 14 games, whatever, with him. And there's no excuse. He just wasn't, dude, get the ball where it needs to go and go the other direction behind the three-point line and wait for it to swing to you. And shoot an open three. If Chandler Parsons can spot up in this offense, you can fucking spot up. Why is he putting the ball on the floor, 2 dribbles, and pull-up jumper with somebody in his face from 16 feet? The only person on this team that really needs to be shooting mid-range is Dirk. I mean, Monte's going to do it, but Monte's kind of a special case. Parsons does it a little bit, but Dirk is the only guy that needs to be consistently shooting from mid-range. And that's all Nelson was doing because he wasn't spotting up and he couldn't get to the hole because he's old. We're all getting old.
He was trying to split double teams, too.
So, yeah. So, Jameer Nelson, I don't understand it.
Okay, I'm going to give you some time to try to think of a fifth.
Uh-oh.
Because I just thought of this one, and my dislike is the lack of love that Monte Ellis gets when he attacks the rim.
No kidding.
He does not get the benefit of the doubt when he goes to the rim compared to James Harden or any other guard you can imagine.
I'll put it to you this way. If referees called, there's probably 10 guys in the league, guards, probably 10 guards in the league, and Monte's one of them, that if they got the calls James Harden got, they'd average 35 a game.
Right.
Monte, Westbrook. I mean, I could rattle them off.
Most of the point guards in this league.
All the offensively minded point guards, pretty much.
Wall, Lillard,
yeah.
Irving.
What is it about James Harden and his stupid ass beard that makes him get? I don't get it. Why do things like this happen in life, Brian?
I don't understand.
He is like a venereal disease for basketball. James Harden. James Harden is a big, nasty sore down there in your man area on the NBA.
Bearditis.
I hate him.
He's got bearditis.
I hate him.
Who do you hate more?
I hate his ass.
Who do you hate more? Do you hate?
Okay, here's a guy. He looks like an idiot, and he was.
Who do you hate more? Do you hate the Spurs or James Harden?
Oh no. Oh no.
One gets a pass. Who's getting a pass?
Oh God.
They get a lifetime pass.
Oh no. I can't. No.
Someone has to get a pass.
Not doing it.
Someone has to
not
get a pass.
doing it.
Someone has to get a pass.
Hey man, you talk about your point. This is your
no,
point
I
in this segment.
already made my point. So now it's time for you to get someone a pass. Either someone gets a pass or you come up with a fifth dislike.
Okay, Harden. No. Spurs get a pass.
The Spurs get a pass.
Spurs get a pass because I'm retired from bitching about the Spurs.
Okay.
And truthfully, Spurs are all really good. The only thing that makes me mad about the Spurs, besides the fact that they keep winning and won't go away, and that they keep signing spares from, Besiktas, and I'm gonna
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Use that.
Bundesliga, or is that soccer?
That's soccer.
Well, they could sign somebody from there, and son of a bitch would come in and knock down open threes all day. Besides that, the only thing that really makes you hate them is the flopping. And let's be realistic, every team flops. You like it when it's on your team. You hate it when you don't. For the same thing, when we were talking about Rondo one podcast ago, he had that game where he pushed Monte in the back.
Oh, that was nasty.
And we were like, ooh, that was bad. Man, Rondo, he's got a streak to him. And I was like, but that's the kind of streak that if he's your guy, you love it. Kind of like the Karl Malone syndrome. So with the Spurs, when JJ flops like that, we all cheer. Mm-hmm. So it's Harden, because Harden is ruining basketball. There's children growing up watching that. I had Larry Bird and Michael and Magic and Isaiah and all them, and these kids are watching that shit. It's horrible.
Which is worse, the bearditis or the stretchification of the forward?
Earl Knowledge on the stream says this has turned into drunk talk.
No.
I'm not even, you want drunk talk.
No.
Tune in next show.
Episode 93.
I'm just hoarse.
Yeah. So I think we've hit the nail on the head in terms of the likes and dislikes. You skewed more broad with the league in terms of both.
Of dislikes, yeah.
More with the dislikes, but a little bit of the likes. I kind of focused more on the off-season aspect of both. But like I talked about with one of the dislikes, which we kind of need to hit on after this upcoming break, is that something weird, extremely weird, happened during the Rajon Rondo press conference.
Can't wait.
Where the media kind of they, as Little Roy would say, they acted an ass a little bit.
LeBron gonna act ass.
They acted ass a
Why
little bit.
do I not have that?
They acted ass a little bit, and it did not shine a very favorable light on the Metroplex. So that's up after the break. Mavericks Outsider Report.
All right. Okay, Earl Knowledge. I'm going to show you drunk talk, boy. Little Alt-J for you there here on episode 92 of the Mavericks Outsider Report. I'm Rylan, he's Brian. We like to talk about the Mavs.
We like to talk about James Harden and the San Antonio Spurs.
Turn it into an MP3 and put it on the internet and let you listen. Fuck the Spurs and James Harden hard. So Rondo. Rondo is a dominant topic today for obvious reasons. One of the things about Rondo's acquisition that made a little bit of news in the worlds of Deadspin and the like is some kind of idiotic things happened at the press conference there, Brian.
Yes.
And I don't know why you let that happen. I got you in there to try and make sure Then stop some of these shenanigans, man. And then I'm just over here just minding my own business, and I open up Twitter and I hear, the Dallas media is looking like a bunch of idiots, and I'm like, what'd Brian do now?
What'd Forrest
The
Gump
thing is,
do
it's
now?
never you, because
No.
you think before you speak.
And I apparently get creative in asking my questions.
That's right. Can you tell that story real quick?
Yes. What game was it? Prior to the Lakers game, of course.
A couple nights ago?
Yes, we had our usual pregame press conference meeting with Rick Carlisle. And I decided to ask a question about Charlie Villanueva because, of course, he's been playing well the last couple games since the Rondo deal. And I was not exactly, I'll be honest, I really didn't know per se what I was going to ask, but I had an idea of where I wanted to go. So instead of going with the classic talk about,
which is ridiculed all over now.
It's a beating.
Yeah.
I went and tried to spin it indirectly, and I said, what have you seen from Charlie Villanueva in the last few games since the Rajon Rondo deal? Just what are your biggest takeaways?
But
excuse me.
It was perfectly phrased in the context of what you were asking. You
Yes.
have a guy that had been on the bench and at the very end of the bench and is now playing a more prominent bench role. What have you seen from him?
Right.
Perfect. And the best part is Rick's reaction. My man.
That's your man right there. And he basically muttered to himself for a couple seconds. And then
not a marketing genius.
He didn't say that.
You send the weather dog out. If the weather dog comes out wet, it means it's raining.
Rick's amazing. He is amazing. But he muttered to himself for a little bit, and then he was like, that's an intriguing way to ask a question. And then he was laughing for a little bit, and that got the media laughing a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I know what you're trying to do.
And Followell jumped in, and he goes, it's better than talk about.
And then he was saying that, and then...
Which is what everybody was thinking at the time, I'm
right.
sure.
And then he said, I'm intrigued, and everyone was laughing, and I was like, you know what? I'm not getting egg thrown on my face. And I said, I'm glad you're intrigued.
That's why I'm here.
I'm glad you're intrigued. So that's that little short story right there. And I actually got some love from the likes of McMahon and Earl K. Snead. They're like, good for you. You stepped up. McMahon probably, well, he calls me bitch-ass ballin' now.
It actually was a good way to ask it, I thought.
For those who don't know, McMahon's a very surly man, but he does it with a certain sense of affection.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And now, I knew my name of Ballin' with Brian had jumped the shark a bit when Eddie Sefko was calling me that.
I thought you told me that's what made it official.
I guess it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's like it's official your name, but it's also jumped the shark.
But I know that it's really hit a new gear, when every single time he walks into a room and he sees me, Tim McMahon says, "What's up, bitch-ass ballin'?" Every single time. That's what he says. All right, but we have digressed way too far. Going back to the Rajon Rondo press conference, things went awry in a hurry because it was a 45-minute, nearly 60-minute delay for the actual press conference to start because there was physicals, there was friendly banter going on in the locker room, so on and so forth, so it delayed the entire process. So at that point, the heavy hitters, the McMahons, the Sefkos, the Earl K. Sneads, so on and so forth, their radar has fallen off. They're officially in zone. They don't know what they're doing anymore. So when it gets going, they've lost track of we're the first guy that needs to ask the question.
Right.
So someone else chimes in.
They've relaxed. They're in an element where they're there a lot, so they're comfortable and kind of zoned out.
And the PR people know that they need to be looking at them first. But then, of course, these guys are zoned out, and they don't know what they want to do. So at that point, someone else steps in, and with this being shown on NBA TV, being broadcast on major radio outlets, this is the first thing.
Good afternoon, Valencia King, KKVI. Rondo, I'll start with you. What was the main reason you decided to come to Dallas? What
was the main reason?
Did it for you?
Well, this wasn't my decision.
Let me rephrase rephrase that. What are you excited about Dallas for being here? Let me rephrase it like that. Thank you.
Oh, God. Who? KKVI. Where's KKVI?
Good afternoon, Valencia King, KKVI.
Is that same girl? Valencia King? Remember there was a girl at the intro presser that asked some kind of question about your professional and personal life?
That was Jameer Nelson, I think. Either Jameer Nelson or Raymond Felton asking who inspired you or something.
That might have been her. That might be
like
the
that.
same girl. Anyway, was she a really tall
Yeah.
girl with like
She does.
I'm not good with colors.
She bunts it up a little bit. But I think it's black. I think it's black hair.
I was thinking it was colored, but anyway.
No. She buns it up a little bit.
Okay, that's a different girl then. KKVI is a listener-supported community local radio station. Yeah, they're handing out shit. I'm gonna spend $28 on a domain name and just go get me a credential. Come to a few games.
So again, that
for free, but it's not as good.
What's the main reason you decided to come to Dallas? What did it for you?
Where'd you pull that from?
That was from ESPN Radio.
Okay, I was wondering who was saying, "Oh no."
That's Landry Locker, our good friend Landry Locker. So that is the very first question that is asked to Rajon Rondo, who's used to a Boston media, who's pretty on top of their game, even though you hate the East Coast with the East Coast bias. They get the job done.
That's more New York.
They're in the area though, but an East Coast market is gonna be good.
Although Bob Ryan,
he's retired now.
Grates me.
He's retired now.
Really?
But that's the first question that
I still
is
think
asked.
all of them are the sports reporters from 1992. Bob Ryan, Mitch Albom, Mike Lupica, Bill Conlon, and that's probably it.
Whenever I turned on ESPN and
I'm pretty sure Bill Conlon's dead. I know Dick Schaap's dead. So it's just those other three. Pour one out for Dick Schaap. Pour out some water.
Whenever I saw the sports reporters, I was like, where's ESPN or where's Sports Center? I always flip the channel. So that's the first question. That does not shine a very positive light.
That's just terrible. It's terrible on both counts because it's terrible because it's simply terrible. And it's so terrible that it actually elicits pity. I actually feel sorry for that person. Like she's been asked to do a job that she's not qualified to do, and that always sucks.
So there's another curveball that's thrown in the mix. This is not the second question. It would be terrible if this was the second question. The press conference. Sarah Melton would have been like, "Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day."
Devon Bear.
Later, probably the press conference is about 24 minutes. Probably, so that's the intro. About 6 to 8 minutes later, this next question comes up, and it's a very rare question for Dwight Powell, who is a rookie forward who spent most of his time on the bench in Boston and then in the D League. So not very much is known about him other than he went to Stanford.
Project.
Played 4 full years in Stanford, and he's just a guy.
So he's smart and really tall.
Yes, that's what we've got.
Okay.
So this is the next interesting question.
I have a question for Dwight. Kind of just
wait a minute.
Compared to
who is that?
I'm not exactly sure who it is.
Oh no, you can't. We have to find out. Oh my God. Okay, let him talk.
You're just kind of a new guy here, and also, Jeremy Lin is from Harvard, so he is kind of have the insanity. So I kind of feel like, what's your role being in Dallas, and what's your position? You think you're gonna have a insanity same here?
I'm not really sure what the connection he was trying to make.
Stanford and Harvard, because he thinks Stanford is in the Ivy League with Harvard, as opposed to in California where it is. This guy, we got to find out who this guy is. Please, do it for me.
I'll look.
What have you ever seen him before?
I have. Not very often.
You're going to have to play this clip and email it to Sarah Melton and say, please tell me.
She knows who
this guy is.
She knows that this was not the best of days.
Exactly. So she'll think it's funny.
Oh, she does.
I got to know who this guy is because he deserves really he probably deserves some kind of reality show or something. The real sports writers of the F-Dub. Play it again, uninterrupted.
Okay.
I have a question for Dwight. Kind of just compared to like I know like you're just kind of like a new guy here, and also Jeremy Lin is like from Harvard, so he is kind of have the insanity. So I kind of feel like, what's your role like being Dallas, and what's your like position? You think you're gonna have like a insanity like same here?
I'm sorry. Play it one more. Play it one more time. I need to hear it.
I have a question for Dwight. Kind of just compared to like I know like you're just kind of like a new guy here, and also Jeremy Lin is like from Harvard, so he is kind of have the insanity. So I kind of feel like, what's your role like being Dallas, and what's your like position? You think you're gonna have like a insanity like same here?
What are you counting?
9 likes and 7 uhs in the question, I think. It's so fast, I might have to go back with a piece of paper. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. We just need to find out who that is and who hired him and for what. And that's all.
That's
all I need.
Those two.
I'm good if you give me that. That's all I need. I need to know who hired him.
Those two.
And KVVI. KVVI is based in Garland. Not a lot good comes from Garland. Let's all be perfectly honest with ourselves. I don't even tell you when the last time I went to Garland.
It's just not that good for you.
Seriously.
It's pretty far away for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like 5-6 years maybe.
So it clearly was not a banner day for the DFW media.
Not looking your best.
Tim McMahon jumped on the grenade. He said it was his fault because he was locked in that zone where he dozed off basically after being frozen out freezed out for 45 minutes when the press conference is supposed to start like at 4:45 and doesn't start till 5:45 or 5:30. So it's a very unfortunate set of circumstances. But to the credit of the rest of the media, it has bounced back. Apparently, Rondo does not hate the media. He's still very willing to talk to the media. But it was not a good start.
Well, he's going to see who's there covering every game versus who was there for that thing. So you start to know a few people and actually.
He did try to freeze me out, though, I will say. I tried to ask about.
That's a shame.
I tried to ask about the bounce pass because I've loved that a lot, and he was like, "It's just something I do.
Next question.
I play basketball."
He said, "Clown question, bro."
He basically, but then McMahon, he was like, "I got you." So he kept going, and then he was able to rattle off like a good 30 seconds.
One of those things where it took a few questions for him to get the steam rolling there.
But Rondo actually showed some humor. It was after the Lakers game. I should have pulled the audio for you, but maybe we'll play it next time. He was doing his press conference or his interview around his locker. Of course, this time it's only like 25 people. Not as many people around his locker. So he's answered about 3 or 4 questions, and then he's like, "Okay, thank you." After his reply, he's saying, "Blah blah 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 blah. Okay, thank you." And then he freezes, and he's like, "I'm just kidding." And then everyone starts laughing because he's playing off of his I guess his book basically is that he's kind of short, introverted, kind of quirky and neurotic, and doesn't handle interacting with people very well.
Would you say that's accurate based on your minimal time spent talking to him?
I think it's just that he's feeling people out, basically, and trying to assess, like you said, who's there regularly, who can he feel comfortable talking to.
He's not a social butterfly.
No, I wouldn't say that. But he also joked about it, too, where he was talking about the bounce pass stuff, and he saw on the other end Dirk was walking to his locker, so he was answering. And he's like, I think Dirk's waiting for you guys. So then that ended his question, or his reply. According to Cuban, that Rondo's the easiest guy he's been able to talk to.
I saw that. That's interesting.
Which is surprising. It doesn't matter if it's about basketball or off the court stuff. He's just extremely easy to communicate with. And he also said that any preconceived notions or worries or concerns that he had heard about Rondo, which we've heard about, which like you expressed is, he's not doing so well in practice, or he can be a little short, he can be a little angry, temperamental, so on and so forth. All of that stuff has not been apparent in the locker room. And talking to some people in the organization, they've said that he's a sponge. He is a guy that wants to learn. He went to the gym on Christmas Day. He went on Christmas night. He went on Christmas Eve. So he's trying to assimilate himself as quickly as possible. So this is a guy that wants to make it work.
Well, and it's nice to hear him being kind of a gym rat type, because we know we got some other guys that are that way. And then we got a guy like Monte who's like, yeah, maybe I'll miss a game if my leg falls off, you know. So all in all, I think you got a good group of people, assuming that everything continues to hold together personality-wise. Sounds like a good fit. We got any nuggets?
We didn't really have any major hitting nuggets. Kobe sat up.
Short. Short nuggets.
The party's across the street featuring the greatest band in the world. More day to time.
These will be rapid fire nuggets. We don't even need the sound effect.
Ding.
First nugget.
Ding.
Kobe looked like he was dead for a little bit, but he returned. I think he missed about 3 games just due to what was quote-unquote soreness.
General soreness, yeah.
Soreness.
I told my dad that the other day when they were here for Christmas, and I was like, he's like 37. General soreness is every day.
Right.
I'm 34 and general soreness is every day.
So
and I don't have 24,000 NBA minutes or whatever he's played.
So they were
40-something thousand probably.
They were killing him early in the season, just letting him play free, and he paid the price for it.
And they had to know that was going to – I think they wanted it. Almost it was like they just want to kind of burn him out, because they let him catch Michael. He caught Michael. What's the point now?
Let's just play basketball.
He's just a hindrance to them now.
Right.
Honestly. They won't admit it. It's this weird relationship. They're both staying in this marriage that neither one – it's a loveless marriage. So it's weird. It's going to be weird. It's going to be an ugly end to a great career. Even
when do they start arguing to each other about how they left the newspaper on
Pretty
the desk?
Pretty quick.
Why did you leave it that way?
Yeah.
I like it face up.
Next couple months, it's going to happen.
You put it face down. Next nugget.
Ding.
LeBron.
This was really funny if you're a regular listener.
Yes.
As was the intro.
Yes.
If this is your first time listening, you're like, these guys, idiots.
How did they get to 92?
Yeah.
LeBron James said after a surprising loss, 103-80 loss to the Detroit Pistons, said we're not a very good team.
You know what they're doing?
And now there's apparently a divide in the front office, pitting sides in terms of David Blatt, their first-year head coach.
I think that the players don't want him to be their coach because he's an inexperienced coach. Doesn't matter if he's good or bad. I think he was written off before he ever started. It was a timing situation. He was brought in, then LeBron signed.
You know where he played or where he coached? Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Besiktas.
No.
Bundesliga. So
that's soccer.
Bundesliga. So I think LeBron knows he can choose his coach. So LeBron's going to choose his coach. The rest of the team knows LeBron can choose his coach. So the rest of the team is content letting LeBron choose his coach. I think that's all this is. And it's kind of shitty. You know, LeBron should have been able to kind of redeem himself here in terms of public perception. Win back some fans, trying to be the good guy again.
He has up until this point.
But now he's got this. But we don't know. This guy might be a good coach, but a bad fit for this team. And if that's the case, then hasten the change. You know,
they're 18-12 right now.
Nobody big is going to be available until the summer anyway.
Right.
But I guess lay the groundwork early so that you know he's gone.
You could get George Karl.
True. You think they'd be a good fit?
I don't know if it'd be a great fit.
You think he's even looking? He was at the Seahawks game yesterday. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
He was up there waving a towel or some shit.
Well, that's what everyone does up there.
He's like, ooh, I'm the 12th man.
I know he was interested in the Sacramento gig, how that opened up magically. I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
but
I
who
don't
want
know.
to play for Vivek or whatever? Is his name actually Vivek?
I'm guessing.
Okay.
You're
guessing. Thanks for that vote of confidence.
They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. So Cleveland's they've hit that Miami phase where they were weird when they first started.
They were. Different reasons.
It is very different reasons. So there's some strife going on in the heart of Cleveland.
Fun times in Cleveland today.
Joakim Noah does not care
Nope.
about that.
They're Hollywood as hell.
That's basically all I got for Nuggets.
Josh Smith.
Oh, yeah, Josh Smith, Houston Rocket. Apparently things didn't go so well today. I'd have to dig rapidly into the stat sheet, and I am right now. They are losing at the moment. By the time you listen to this, you'll be like, yeah, that already happened. They're losing by 7. Josh Smith, 23 minutes, 1 of 6 from the field, 4 turnovers.
Oof.
3 points.
Yet
he is a +1.
Didn't in one of his games he scored 23 points on 21 shots or something like that for them?
I am pulling it up right now. He went 9 of 21 for 21 points.
Okay, 21 on 21.
In his first game with Houston.
This is a guy who
he went 2 and 7. He sprinkled in a 2 of 7 between these two games.
That's lovely. He's always been a little bit of a knucklehead, incredibly athletic, 6'10", long arms, all that. Perfect tool set physically for the modern NBA. But he's like 30, 31 now. He's been around forever. He's never really done much because he's a
29.
knucklehead. Oh, he's only – jeez. Okay. Yeah. Dallas kind of – I think they kicked the tires a little bit just because it would have been such a bargain. But he was looking to start, and he wasn't going to start here. And – sorry. I just
that's your stance on it, basically. Look at it this way.
It's one of those deals where I don't need a knucklehead. I don't mind a knucklehead. I don't need a knucklehead that thinks he's playing that big of a role on my team. I like my knuckleheads to be role players, mostly.
Look at it this way.
And I don't even think Rondo or Monte qualify.
No.
A lot of people will try to make it
They
sound
would
like
label
they do.
them as...
A lot of people play the Des Bryant narrative on both of those guys and try to take guys that are passionate or have had bad situations in the past and turn that against them, you know. And in reality, they're both good locker room guys or whatever it seems to be, at least when things are going well. So
look at like I was going to express, look at it this way. In 3 games, he's had 12 field goals made, and he has had 10 turnovers.
That's ugly.
That's some ugly basketball.
Whatever happened, or it's going to be interesting to see how he plays with this whole Houston nerd basketball. You know, everything's very precise.
He spits in the face of that.
Yeah. And he's going to be taking a bunch of, 20-foot jumpers
and
turning the ball over all the time.
Other than the fact that he's buddy-buddy with Dwight, do you think it could be the idea, or it's funny to think of the idea of Dallas has been this team that's been able to reinvent players or
they want to
repackage.
See if they can do it.
They want to see if they can do it now.
Well, Dwight and Harden aren't the guys to create the atmosphere where that's even possible. Regardless of the reasoning or the rationale, I'm glad Houston made the move because I don't think it helps them in the long run. I think it just simply complicates matters for him because of what he's like, or they'll bury him on the bench, and that'll be a different kind of problem. As a Mavs fan, I hope beyond all hope, as a Mavs fan, that the move was made because he's friends with Dwight. Because that would indicate to me that they're doing stupid shit. And because he's not a great system fit, it's a gamble because they're paying him next to nothing.
Right.
So you can kind of see why they'd try. But given the personnel, I'd love nothing more is if it was because it was Dwight. It would be great.
And then it just implodes.
It would just show that you guys got him and Harden doing dumb shit all the time. I don't know. That's all I got.
That's all I got for Nuggets. That's all I got for Nuggets. Do you want to rattle off one quick rant?
You know what? I didn't think I really had a rant. I have some.
You've established some tonight.
Yeah. And I had some old notes taken, and there's a couple that would be good for us to banter back and forth on, but I figured we probably would end up not needing the time, because we're already basically
we're in overtime,
ready to go. But come on, I'm having a little trouble with. I'm gonna just have to go
while you
manual here.
While you get that ready, how scared or how much of the bubble guts do you have for Sunday?
What's Sunday? Cows?
Yeah.
None.
You got none?
Nah. It's found money. This is found money. 12-4, dude. It's totally found money. Whatever happens is fine, because we went into this year thinking, man, 9-7.
You're telling me that Tony Romo craps the bed or gets hurt, and his future's now in doubt, and it's like found money.
You mean like in this game?
In this game Sunday.
That's coming up?
Yeah. They mess the bed.
It could happen, but that could happen anytime. It's found money because they shouldn't have been this good this year, really. Although when you look at what they did, maybe they should have been. I don't know. It's hard to say.
But can't this spiral out to how it was? Again, I'm not in my wheelhouse at this point, but couldn't you make a case that the Rangers were ahead of the curve and they got people excited again, and then things derailed?
Yeah, but we got 2 glorious runs in the middle of that, and both of those, going into 2010 for the Rangers, you thought this team is going to be in there in the mix for the division. Some things have to break their way, and a few things did, both negative for the Angels and positive for the Rangers, to get them to that point. But they were in the mix and then led the division for a lot of that season. So it was one of those things. With Dallas, they looked so bad in the preseason. The defense was so patchwork, so bad last year. You knew the offense would be good. Philadelphia got out to a hot start. They lost 5 of their last 6 or 6 of their last 7. Without that, then you had Romo getting hurt in the middle of the year with the fractured vertebrae or whatever. So the expectations for even that first Rangers team that made the World Series, it was more expected. This, you're just like, damn, they just keep winning. Okay, I'm just along for the ride. So no bubble guts. Plus, I just want to make sure that I have the baby and get out of the hospital in time to watch the game in HD, because hospitals don't have HD. And that could be a rant, but I'm not going to go there. I don't have an actual rant. It's more of a musings from my mind, but, we title it rant because we like alliteration, and my name starts with an R. So this morning, sorry, I got a cough.
Do it. That's the subtitle of this episode.
Yeah. Episode 92, a.k.a. I got a cough. Woke up this morning early. Had to pee, whatever. It's like 3-something. Took me forever to fall back asleep. You ever wake up?
I thought you were going to say it took you forever to pee.
Yeah, no. That was a pretty quick operation.
That's an old man problem.
Because, yeah, I'm not that old yet. But you ever wake up where it's really in the middle of the night, like from, say, like 2:30 to like before 5, where you never really stay up past 2:30, never really get up before 5. To be awake during that time is always a negative. And your mind is in such a weird state because you're awake, but you should be sleeping, and then things are going on in your brain and makes it hard to go back to sleep, but kind of in a weird way. Not even coherent thoughts, but incoherent thoughts. I have incoherent sleep-drunk thoughts. Can't get a handle on how to explain that, but that's the best way to call it. Incoherent, sleep-drunk thought disorder. So, long story short, I lay there trying to go back to sleep for like an hour, and I really just couldn't. And I think it was because all these weird, incoherent things were bouncing in my brain because I was in this weird state between asleep and awake. So, finally, I laid there long enough, thought, you know what? I'm just going to look at my phone, browse through, catch up on Twitter, and maybe that'll shift my brain to some other focus and I'll be able to fall asleep. And it did work. In the process, though, I was catching up on Twitter, and my buddy Gary Collard, Laker GMC on Twitter, well-known basketball tweeter, general sports tweeter, real sharp guy, fun guy to drink a beer with, really great follow on Twitter. He retweeted a tweet from someone that it was just a quip. It was like, Twitter must be hell for people that don't understand sarcasm, or something like that. But it was by Jenn Sterger.
Okay.
And so I'm laying there, and even when I'm awake, okay, I get them confused. There's this Jenn Sterger, and then there's Jen Selter. And I see people tweet about them. One is this, like, booty girl.
Right.
The other one is this girl that Brett Favre sent dick pics to. And so I was just like, which one is this? Just trying to figure out, who is this? Is this the booty model, or is this the dick pic girl? This is all in an attempt to just fall back asleep. So sad. And so I click on her to read her profile to figure out which one she is. She has me blocked. How is this possible? What happened? Explain this to me, Brian.
I don't understand.
I don't think I've ever actually been blocked from anybody.
And
or by anybody, sorry.
Why would you be the root cause of blocking?
What in the world? Isn't that weird?
That is
so
weird.
I don't understand. And I don't really, first off, I'm not well versed in the world of blocking. I don't really block people on Twitter. I use Twitter blocking as a hall of shame. Like, if you go to my list of blocked people, which you can't get to, but I think you can run like an app that'll show it to you. That'll just query Twitter and get it from you. But it's like shit like Skip Bayless and people like that. It's not people that I truly want to block, because I'll just mute people. It's people that I kind of want to symbolically say, no matter what subject, no matter what day, year, decade, I never want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
Ever. It's more like my hall of shame. So I don't really block a lot. But I can't imagine what in the world would have gone on that so I'm thinking, did I like tweet about her and she searched her name?
People will do that. The only real big takeaway I get from your story is
I just figured it out. Oh boy, we need to ring up our friend Kevin Turner, because we need to have a butt hurt or what game. Because here's what it is. Holy shit. All right, view on Twitter. Amazing. I went to my Twitter archive, which you can download from Twitter. I downloaded it probably like a year ago. Oh, this is amazing. I searched for Sterger. I tweeted.
What's up? This is Adrian Casada.
Oh, what's up, Adrian?
That's what you tweeted?
I tweeted, quote, Twitter.com just recommended I follow Jennifer Sterger. No thanks. I'm just being a smart ass, showing off for y'all, you know.
That's
being
just
like, hey guys,
that's
this
just
is
a basic move.
I'm just gonna make a funny comment, you know, and then she blocked me. That's awesome.
The biggest takeaway
Should have sent dick pics. Here, she likes those.
The biggest takeaway I take from your story is that
That's all I got.
What would have happened if your wife just happened to wake up and she saw you randomly searching?
But it was the booty girl instead.
What if it was the differences?
She
You're
was
just trying to differentiate.
She knows I like booty.
What if you're just trying to differentiate who the difference was between those two?
Well, I did actually search. That's how I figured out who she was, because I couldn't look at her profile because I'm blocked. So I searched Selter, and it was the booty girl. I'm like, okay, so that's what it was. And then I'm like, what in the hell? But that flipped my mind enough that I was able to fall asleep, because it flushed my brain, man, and I was good. But no, I don't go on Twitter looking for booty pics. That's just not. Who does that? But people retweet things, and you're like, whoa! You obviously take note when something's notable like that. So anyway, I got blocked for one smart ass comment. She's like C.J. Wilson. That's a C.J. Wilson level block right there.
You can't control. They do what they do.
Can't control what the ball do.
They do what they do.
All right.
So yeah, that'll be our closing note on episode 92 of Mavericks Outsider Report.
Great board work there, Riley. Good God.
You're sick.
Faded in, faded out.
You're confused.
Like a idiot.
You've got a baby on your mind.
Dude, we are so babied up in here, and it ain't even here yet. It could be here tonight. I might go to bed and then get up and go to the hospital. It could happen anytime.
Could happen.
Anytime.
You're on the clock. I hope everything goes well for you with that. If you need me to go in there and hold the baby. I'll try to make myself available.
You a baby holder?
I can't even remember the last time I held a baby.
Okay, so you're like every other single guy.
You know, I'm a single man.
I had never held an infant until I held Layla. Because I'm like,
really?
Yeah, because an infant, everybody's like, ooh, you know, and I'm like, y'all can coo over it. I was, you know, and I'd never really had one born that was close to me. I don't have any brothers or sisters. Courtney's sister, her daughter's a lot older, so she was around before I was even in the picture, so.
I've got to think it's at least a good 5 to 7 years.
I'm just like, nah, I'll just hold my kid.
Nah, bro, I'm good.
No, I take that back. When my cousin, Mark's wife, when she had their first kid a couple years before we had ours, I guess I held her in the hospital, so yeah. Anyway, good God, man. She just better sleep. That's all I got. Just sleep.
Just give you one more night and let the business go down during the middle of the day.
Yeah. So first kid, she was born. What, did you hear something? Where'd that come from?
I don't know.
Was that me? Was that you?
I think that was you.
Huh. Who knows? First kid was born at like 9 p.m. So
Sweet.
Came out at 9 p.m. in the middle of a Rangers game at Kansas City. Michael Young was on second base. That's all I know. We won that game. And then after that, the Rangers lost every game ever. It was 2012. It was horrible. So there was at least a chance that the Cowboys might be playing, but now it doesn't look like it's going to happen before that. So we'll see if we can watch some NFL during this birth. Or maybe a bowl game or something.
I think a bowl game's very doubtful for you with New Year's Day and those big bowl games coming up. I think that's doubtful.
She could happen. It could happen during New Year's Day.
Could. She'd share a birthday with my dad then.
New Year's Day?
Yeah.
That's great for your taxes, too.
So there's Cowboys football. There's a Rajon Rondo reunion in Boston on Friday, which should be very interesting. There is
Mav's schedule softens up a little bit here. We should mention that before we leave. Good time to get some good familial time in as far as getting to know your new teammates, being on the road, playing some softer teams.
There is the game against Cleveland on Sunday, which I will be attending.
You're going to
in the building. I will get to see David Blatt hung, or Kevin Love will be hung. Someone will be in trouble.
That'd be interesting if you can somehow
start a fracas.
No, just kind of observe that dynamic on the bench and in the huddle. It depends on where you end up.
I'm not sure how they're set up.
It'd be cool if you just randomly end up closer to that end or something where you can kind of
see it.
Because I mean, that's what I always say. Every time I sit really close, I learn. I love sitting close to the benches because I learn something every time. It's a shame they charge for those seats and they don't just put you guys down there, because I guarantee it.
You'd learn a lot.
It'd be a hell of a lot more fun if they had y'all sitting right down there close where you can hear everything.
Right.
That's why they don't do it.
No.
That and the fact that they have an extremely high market value.
It's going to be an action-packed Sunday for a sports lover. The Mavs game will tip off at noon, and then as soon as that ends, you'll get ready for Cowboys, Lions, wild card, wild and out action.
What are your Patriots doing?
I haven't been able to keep up with football a whole lot.
Wow.
I know that the Cowboys.
You just out on it now?
I know
you just abandoned your boy Welker? He's gone now.
He's gone.
So you don't even care anymore.
I like Wes Welker.
You're not even a football fan. You're a Wes Welker fan.
He has to wear an oversized helmet because he gets way too many concussions. He looks like a special
kid.
A special man. We'll have to figure out sometime. It'll be sometime in 2015 that we reconvene. Rylan will have a lot on his plate. We'll have to figure out when that'll work. But I figure we'll be back sometime around in mid-January.
Yep. That's the plan.
We're inching closer and closer to 100.
Basketball is happening every day.
Pretty much.
We'll have trade. All-Star game is going to be here before you know it.
I'm going to go. The All-Star game is in Brooklyn. I'm going the completely opposite way. I'm going to go to L.A. during the All-Star weekend and just have a vacation.
Nice.
Just get away.
I'm not going anywhere.
You're going to be locked up.
I'm making bottles, y'all.
That's great. Rylan, where can you find the show or the podcast?
First off, before you even try to find the podcast, go to the website. Go to MavsOutsider.com because Brian is writing shit left and right. He's got a stable of writers that are putting up great content every day. They're covering games, they're doing features, commentary, insightful stuff, videos. Brian posted a thing today that had all these dots moving around. And it's
psychedelic a little bit.
You should take your hallucinogen of choice and then watch that little animated GIF or whatever it is, and enjoy it. Great content there, MavsOutsider.com. You can listen to the podcast there if you want. You can find a link to subscribe there as well, or just go to iTunes and search MavsOutsider.com or Mavs Outsider Report, and it'll come up, and you can subscribe 100% free and get everything we do on the podcast feed, which is going to be this episode, this type of podcast every few weeks or whatever. You're going to have Brian's interviews with various media folks. He was doing them at halftime last year.
Didn't really work out.
We called him halftime hit, but that's tough because there's fewer people to choose from, and you got noise and stuff. So it's called Media Musings now. Nice fireside chats with Brian and various people. You've had Tim McMahon, you had Skin, you had, was there a third one?
That's it so far.
But we posted you were on the Shake Joint with Jake and Sean Bass.
The Amoeba table.
We posted that too. So if Brian does anything like that that's of note, we put that on the podcast feed
We've
as well.
had two-player podcasts. We've had Chandler Parsons on Media
player
Day.
interviews, yeah.
We had Tyson Chandler a few weeks
so
back.
Podcast is, we're trying to diversify the value on that thing so that it's fun and awesome because we have competitors now, the 3&D podcast from the great Machine Sports on Twitter and Justin Montemayor. Listen to them a little bit today. They're good.
Where'd
I'm
you
gonna
listen
give
to
them credit
them?
on iTunes.
No, go ahead and admit where you were listening.
I was on the shitter.
There you go.
Yeah, they're good. I don't know if they know. I don't know if they know about us, but we know about them. So it's time to step up a little bit. There's actually some competition in town. Because look, everybody else to this point's been a pretender. Those guys are good. Machine's funny on Twitter.
You said that.
He explicitly introduced himself as the Machine. Never called himself Mike. So I am going to only refer to him as Mike from now on.
Oh, not the Machine?
Yeah.
Where are you on Twitter, Rylan? Other than being blocked?
Other than being blocked by Jenn Sterger. That's awesome. I am on Twitter at my name, Rylan, RHYLAN, Rowe, ROWE. Captain of smartassery and witty observations, sports, life, and funny stuff. You want to follow Brian, Ballin' with Brian, BRYAN, for Mavs coverage, game day coverage, in the locker room after the game. He's got just the best day-to-day Mavs tweeting. Really, the only Mavs Twitter I follow is you, Follow Will,
Skin,
and
McMahon.
Skin and McMahon, but they do more than just Mavs on
just pure
in general.
Mavs?
So I go to them for a lot of Mavs content on Twitter, but I don't consider, like, I would follow if neither of them dealt with Mavs. I still follow them for other reasons. Well, you guys I would because y'all are cool, but I'm just saying, y'all. That's it. I don't need anybody else. Follow Will, Ballin' with Brian. There's probably somebody I'm forgetting. It's a shame, but really it's just y'all. So follow him. He's good.
Thank you.
He's a tweeter.
Thank you. I tweet. We'll be back, like I said, sometime in January-ish. Rylan, best of luck to you the next couple days, couple hours, couple minutes.
Just hope that I'm able to get sleep, that this baby sleeps like her big sister slept. If that happens,
Do y'all have
it's
a
all
name?
gravy. Maya.
Layla and Maya.
Layla and Maya.
That's nice.
Yep.
That's
Just
nice.
Maya, M-A-Y-A. No tricked out spellings. We don't believe in tricked
No,
out
like a
spellings.
little...
My name's Rylan. Nobody can freaking spell it. I've been called every name but Rylan, and I enunciate it, and they still get it wrong. So I'm not giving my kid a whack spelling. Not happening.
M-H-A-Y-A?
M-H-A-E-Y-H-A. Friggin' people. That's Pinterest. That's the Pinterestization of America. Coming up on next episode's rant, the Pinterestization of America, to follow Mark Followell's stretchification of the forward position.
It's all brought back around. Until then, we will see you guys later.
Word.